Hello, everyone. DCU Daily Time. We are here starting very late at night. Apologies, but that's okay. We're getting in just under the Wednesday hour. So, welcome, one and all, to the show. Today we have a nice, good, big show. Not as big as the last 2 days, but still pretty big show for you guys. Obviously, we usually start off with box office report. Spider-Man's still, there. But we're kind of moving on from that a little bit of dinosaur action. We're going to be talking about what the projections are for End of Oak Street. We did talk about that briefly yesterday, but we're going to be talking about it more today since, the opening day for that is looming. We're going to be talking about, a little bit of MCU Daily. Obviously, Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be brought up, but other things as well. Apparently, Marvel Studios got fined for their appearance at San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into a little bit of Avengers Doomsday stuff, a little bit of X-Men, but for the most part, not too big. And then Movie Talk Madness, got some reviews for End of Oak Street and Coyote versus Acme, as well as, honestly, Movie Talk Madness should really be called WB Madness, because we got End of Oak Street, Coyote versus Acme, which technically was a WB project, and then Barbie 2, as you can see in the thumbnail. Barbie 2 might not happen. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, we will talk about it. Then a little bit of Biz of Hollywood. Not a ton, but just what the plan is for David Ellison and his weak pullout game. Then we have Quick Hits, normal everyday Quick Hits, and then DC Quick Hits. We're celebrating birthdays. We're celebrating the fact that Guy Gardner is the king of DC right now, king of DCU, and deserved. So talking about that, as well as some filming updates for Batman Part 2. Then we have a little bit of Man of Tomorrow to get into. Obviously a bit of Lanterns, 4 more days, and then soon in about 25 minutes for people on the East Coast, 3 more days. And then what is going on with DC, guys? What's going on with WB? Are these really just is this really just the idea of WB can't get out of their own way? Can they never do DC right? Are we just designated to having Batman movies every 5 to 10 years? Is that really all they're good for at this point? Well, we'll have to take a look, because on the TV side, that might just be the case. Maybe not, but let's see if they can dig themselves out of this hole, or the only thing when you hit rock bottom is dig further down. So let's get into that on the news.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number 2.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the news. I'm, of course, your host for today, John. Dan is going to join us soon, but let's truly get the party started, obviously, with the people in the chat. Caleb is here, and he already has a gigantic diatribe against DC and WB at this point, which, fair. We're going to get into it. Obviously, the title of today's video is a little clickbaity, but we gotta get the clicks, right? But I will say, it's not clickbait. That goddamn dinner, holy shit, that looks really fucking good. Goddamn. Okay. just I had a good dinner. It was this taco place. I didn't care for the actual like taco itself, but like it was a well made and had good flavoring. It just I don't like it when like the stuff that's savory is sweet. I don't like it's like it turns out to be sweet. I like when it comes to like not dessert, I just like separate the flavors. Come on now. But yeah, figure drawing also uh it's just like it's just Caleb Luck likes getting mad. It's just like I think at this point he just loves getting mad. But yeah, money at the box office definitely. Emo Girl, hello. Terrence, hello. Um, I could be better, you know. We got to talk about how DC is fucking terrible. So, it's just like, oh, okay. Like it's just like now I'm back into the sleeve of being a DC fan. It's like, oh, we had what's the Deadpool quote where it's like life is like a series of nice inviting commercial breaks, but sometimes you got to get back to your regularly scheduled programming, and that's where we are. DC, we got a nice little commercial break with Superman and Peacemaker and maybe Legacy of the Dark Knight and all that, and now with what's going on with DC, well, back to our regularly scheduled programming where WB are fucking morons. So that's where we are, unfortunately. But yeah, no, without a doubt, DC is cursed. It's 100% cursed. I think like you know what I think it is. I think it's this. I know we're not going to get into DC until much later. I think again because I have equated as someone who is both. DC is really like being a DC fan is really like being a Mets fan because it's just like you're used to constant fucking disappointment all the time that it's like, oh hey, when we get something good, it's like, wow, maybe they're on the track. It's like, nope, we're not. And honestly, for me, and again, you only get this if you're a Mets fan. I think the Mets sold their soul to win Game 6 of the 1986 World Series, and it's because of that they will never probably win another World Series ever again. Much like I think WB sold their souls to make sure that The Dark Knight was a success, and now after that, they just can never win again. That's where I think we're at, personally. It's just like it's just Dark Knight, $1 billion movie, blah blah blah, and then like, yeah, sure, you get stuff like Aquaman, but like that was because of China and they like garbage slop like Fast and Furious. So, that's just where it is now. It's just like I got to get back into the tune of being a DC fan where it's just constant disappointment. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is where it should be." Being a DC fan in media when it's not animation. It's just like, "Oh, yep. Here we are again. Here we are again." Yeah, I mean, Lanterns does look like the show of all time. Um it's cute of you to think that WB isn't already at rock bottom. Keyblade, hello, welcome to the show. Um, uh, we're gonna get into that later, Hunter Iggy. So don't you worry. We're kind of prefacing with DC right now, but let's get into box office report. Let's go from the sadness of DC to the greatness of some dinosaur action. Well, the projections aren't great, but that's what happens when you schedule a film after the biggest fucking character in pop culture history. So, End of Oak Street. Apparently, it targets a $25 million debut, which is not great considering it has an $80 million budget and God knows whatever extra in regards to the marketing. But apparently it is in fact targeting that opening, considering this is the biggest movie coming out this weekend. The only other stuff is like Paw Patrol, The Rivals of Amziah King, which is Matthew McConaughey as a beekeeper. Boy, he's a beekeeper, just like me. Anyway, Then you have the stoner comedy The Wrong Girls, and then The Brink of War, which is, yet another Ronald Reagan propaganda movie. It's like, guys, just like stop writing Ronald Reagan's dick for 2 fucking seconds. Jesus Christ. Anyway, but there's that, Spider-Man Brand New Day could earn another $65 million to $75 million over the weekend, a roughly 55% decline. After just 12 days on the big screen, the Tom Holland-led adventure is already highest grossing movie of the year with $671 million domestically, although they've probably eclipsed that. And $1.68 million globally. I'm pretty sure they've passed that number by now. So the end of O Street is targeting the base debut among newcomers with projections ranging from 20 to 30 million from 3,400 theaters. Warner Brothers is offering an estimate of 18 to 23 million domestically, as well as 20 to 25 million overseas. The movie carries a budget over 80 million. So positive word of mouth will be crucial to ensure that Oak Street remains a draw through August. David Robert Mitchell wrote and directed the PG-13 survival thriller, which follows a mysterious cosmic event that transports a suburban family to prehistoric times. So, with all of that, hopefully the end of Oak Street is the movie to break the Jurassic Park curse of no other dinosaur movie ever achieving what Jurassic Park managed to achieve. Even though literally every fucking sequel to that movie has been like garbage to ranging degrees. Like Lost World and Jurassic World are like the least garbage, and then everything else is just fucking trash. So let's hope it can break that. It does well, maybe not like super well, but hopefully like better than 65, which I heard was not very good. But one can only hope. One can only hope. But y'all are going crazy in the chat. Hi, Movie Spud. Yeah, well, one can only hope. But in terms of the Batman Part 2, I don't have high expectations for it. Yeah, that would be funny. Honestly, what they should do is do like an animated. No way would this ever happen. Do like an animated movie of like kind of like a kind of sort of adaptation of the Superman Spider-Man comic. Get like Tom Holland and David Cornsweet to voice their characters and like have like a cross. Maybe there can be something like that, because that would actually be like something that could maybe boost DC's like cred right now. Yeah, I know it'll never happen, but I'm making sure. Yeah, I have not seen much marketing either, so maybe the budget is actually under like 100 million at this point. I mean 100 million total, like 80 plus 20, maybe that's something like that. But it's all right there. DC should hire me. I'm working on a Superman script right now, and I think I might make a Supergirl script, and I have made a script in regards to the character of Cassandra Cain. So very small script. It was like a small like 30 to 40 page script. I forget how long it was, but yeah, James Gunn, hire me. I actually know how to write these characters, and I can give you some sage advice. As a man of the people, as a man of the fans, I can let you know what you need to do. But next up, let's not stay too long, because obviously, as this article says, 1.68, apparently Brand New Day has just crossed 1.77 billion on the global box office yesterday. This coming weekend, it'll become only the third comic book movie in history to hit 2 billion worldwide. Obviously, the other two being Infinity War and Endgame. It seems like the highest, comic book movies of all time, the ones that get the most money are ironically the ones that are the most mid. Like Infinity War kind of sucks. Endgame sucks until like the last hour, and then Spider-Man Brand New Day ruined Jean Grey. So like, it's the best out of the three, most definitely, but that's not saying much. Hitchcock nerd. I wouldn't say a nerd, but I do like a lot of his. I mean, I pretty much liked the vast majority of the movies I've seen. The only one's like kind of iffy for me, The Birds. I expected more from that. I just didn't really care for it that much. But yeah. Like To Catch a Thief, Dial M for Murder, Rear Window. I would say Rear Window might be my favorite. North by Northwest, Psycho is definitely up there. I think it's Rear Window and Psycho are probably neck and neck. I haven't seen Vertigo. I know that's like a cardinal sin, but Vertigo is probably his most popular that I have not seen. Um, I've seen bits and pieces of Blackmail, which was one of his like early like silent works. Because I had to watch it in film school. So yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Hitchcock? Um, yeah, it's a collection of scenes made to pay off loose threads of 10 years of cinema. I think that works. Um, was Jean Grey ever that surly? But what do you mean by surly? Um, is menacing or no. I mean, outside of her using the Phoenix Force, no, she's never been that surly. Prior to this, they made her a villain for no good reason. Yeah, Vertigo. That's a classic. Vertigo's yes. Shadow of Doubt is another one I have not seen. I know I've seen bits and pieces of Suspicion. I've seen like a scene or two from Shadow of Doubt. There's been Rebecca is another one that's great. I've heard Frenzy. I've heard is good. He had to kind of sanitize it from what he originally wanted to do because it was like way crazier. But yeah, good Hitchcock. Man, cinema. Instead we're talking about Spider-Man Brand New Day. But now we go to Luis Fernando's Word Vomit. But Spider-Man Brand New Day has beat Titanic 674.4 million, Infinity War 67.8 million, and Avatar: The Way of Water 688.5 runs as number 7 highest grossing film of all time, ready to cross 700 million tonight, the US box office. So incredible, lovely. 800 million could come this Sunday already or by next Tuesday, the latest, depending on the weekend's hold. Top 10 biggest second Tuesday of all time. You got Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Way of Water, Rogue One, No Way Home, Brand New Day, right there. So, yeah, holiday boosted for Aquaman. As said this morning, by this Wednesday, B&D will already have secured a $50 million advantage ahead of Endgame at the same point in their runs at a $900 million figure. Should be virtually locked as the new floor for B&D's run. That means the old conservative 888 to 930 run projection in the U.S. box office has just secured a juicy upgrade coming tomorrow. Haha.
So
yeah.
the short of it is that they were predicting like 900 million, which now looks like the floor. So $1 billion domestic. I think it's becoming more and more of a confirmation that Spider-Man Brand New Day will make $1 billion.
I do have the Criterion of Lady Vanishes. I do have that, so I plan to watch that soon enough. So because as I've mentioned on the show a couple times, I'm still going through my Spielberg binge. And I plan to do that with other directors. Like I'm gonna do Nolan eventually. The one I'm doing next is Cameron. Want to know why? Because there's only one James Cameron movie I have not fucking seen, and that's The Abyss. So boom, that should be easy. Then I have all of James Cameron's movies done. Then I'm going to do Nolan next, so everyone can stop fucking riding my fucking dick about it. I will watch.
And nobody wants to ride your dick about it. We just want you to watch some of the greatest
cinema.
movies
I know.
Of the 21st
It's just
century.
like I will. I will.
Okay, cool. All right then. All right.
So now we move on.
Then
let's move on.
Yeah.
Keep the MCU train going. But this time about Doom.
MCU Daily, baby. Can't get still kind of throws me off a bit.
And I still preferred MCU Mayhem, but that's just me. I like the alliteration of stuff. TV Talk Terror, Movie Talk Madness, DCU Daily. Like I like the alliteration.
We could do that. I was thinking more like a branding thing because we have the DCU Daily, so like MCU.
No,
Daily,
I get it.
Like
it's good. Honestly, you should change the graphic since that's been the graphic for the MCU part for a while with Kevin Feige talking. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like because it represents like Kevin Feige and Marvel logo or like
I know.
Thing, so people write you because his dance says you deserve dope movies in your arsenal. Movies dig up Hitchcock and have him direct Batman.
Honestly, he can't do much worse than Andy Muschietti. Like I honestly just weekend
I don't want to see a Hitchcock
probably do a better
Batman
job
movie.
than Andy Muschietti and whatever fucking Christina Hodson has in store for that shit. I could write a better Batman movie in like 20 minutes than what fucking Matt Reeves has probably done in the past fucking 12 years that he took to write fucking Batman Part 2. Anyway, but apparently it's been confirmed that a mini trailer, because we talked about this yesterday, a mini trailer, a teaser for, the ticket sales that's going to be coming Friday will accompany this. So, yeah. Daniel Richtman has now confirmed that global tickets for the MCU event movie Infinity Vision tickets went on sale in the US last month, and it will go sale on Friday, and the announcement will be accompanied by new marketing material. The Scoober says it could be a full trailer, a mini trailer, a featurette, or a clip. Considering that I think they did kind of something similar for Superman, where it was that featurette for like the tickets going on sale. I think that's what it was. I could see them doing that. Because they literally just released a trailer like a couple weeks ago. So I don't think they'll release a clip because that they don't want to reveal too much. I could see like maybe like either one of two things, either a featurette or like a very condensed version of the trailer that we've seen before, where it's essentially the big highlights of like Fantastic Four, maybe Gambit and Shang-Chi fighting, X-Men and like the Avengers. Like that's like kind of just like the key points of the trailer that we already saw, or a featurette. So
I mean, if you were to ask me, I think Marvel's gonna. They've been kind of lazy about this. I think to their own detriment in some ways, because
they need
the
to,
conversation.
Like they need to try. Like look at their fucking competition.
I know they want to like create all the hype, and the movie's gonna do great, and Spider-Man is great, and therefore it's gonna have a positive effect on Doomsday. But like what they did with CinemaCon and that same trailer, plus like that one Loki shot, was the trailer that we got officially as the first trailer for the movie, like a teaser trailer. So I have a feeling that what we're gonna get this Friday is gonna be a full trailer. It's just gonna be the same trailer, pretty much the whole thing. If not, maybe one or two shots might be altered from what they showed to the audience at Comic-Con in San Diego, and that's fine, because honestly, that trailer was a huge improvement on what we got at CinemaCon, and then the first official teaser trailer. So even if because the audio is great, and some people haven't seen the whole thing or have seen it in like really low quality, the leaks, I think that trailer is going to be what we get this Friday, and in concert with D23, and then obviously putting the tickets for all the formats on sale. And that's a full trailer. That's my prediction. We're gonna just get the San Diego Comic-Con trailer put out into the world, and it might even start playing ahead of movies like as soon as later today or tomorrow. So if you're going to see a movie, you might see it before whatever movie, like End of Oak Street or even Spider-Man Brand New Day, I'd imagine. So yeah, sounds good though. And we got Steven in the chat. Last day of camp, packing my bag slow. You're at camp? That's awesome, man. Hey, the forest is strong with this one. I see you, Steven. The forest is strong with this one. I got this from the Redwoods, by the way. They got some good swag down there. I was in the Redwoods a while ago. It's been a while. But couple of years, I want to say. So yeah, Brian, hello, saying never seen James Cameron's Piranha 2: The Spawning before. Is that it? That's not James Cameron's. That's not. I don't know if you're messing with me, because I'm pretty sure that's not a James Cameron movie, but like, sure. So, I mean, what? Oh, Steven saying how many days till Lantern? Well, since we're a couple of minutes away from crossing, past the midnight hour of the East Coast, I mean, right now it's technically like 4 days, I believe. Then it's about to be 3 days. So we're getting closer and closer. Monique saying, did you go through the tree with the hole at the base? Yes, I did. Are you talking about the one where you can walk through, or the one you can go and stand inside? Because I did both, and those things are majestic. I mean, there was a lot of you could smell like ash because there had been so many wildfires. So, some of these, parts of them are either completely dead, or they had cleared up a lot of stuff, but it was safe. But like for example, you could smell the smoky ash when you're inside one of the trunks. Ultimately, the downside of that story was, well, yeah, I did both, Monique. So I went inside the one where it's basically like a cave, but it's like a tree cave. These things are so wide. if you haven't ever been to the Redwoods and near the Bay Area, you guys should definitely go. It's worth a visit. And it's a great walking trail, and the weather was pretty cool. And then in the forest, you got plenty of shade as well if it happens to be a hotter day, which generally the weather was pretty pleasant. And I mean, this is from a couple of years ago, but I do remember pretty much everybody with me on that trip. One of us, not me, one of us, I'm not gonna name who, already had early symptoms of what turned out to be flu A, and as it turned out, everybody who was went into that cave together, that trunk cave, got flu A, which was not fun at all. Yeah, it took 2 weeks or more for some of us to survive, barely. Like I had a 104-degree fever for like a week straight. Never, I haven't been that sick any other time in my adult life. Anyway, but the Redwoods were great, and the flu A was completely separate. It wasn't like we picked up the flu there. I'm sure it spread, but hopefully we didn't get anybody.
I don't
else
count that
the
movie.
flu. I don't think that's the real James Cameron movie. I'm like, are you trying to throw me off? Like,
Because no,
like
that's technically because he was like hired
Yeah.
and then fired and then hired and then fired again from that movie, and it was a fucking
Oh.
whole mess. So yeah, it
Hey, Swag
was
fan.
not good.
Yeah,
James Cameron doesn't even consider
let's
it
just-
his
let's just
actual
not.
movie.
It-
So
let's just not. We didn't put it in his tier list, right? So thank you, Swag fan, for the 10 jewels and the gold coin. All right, let's keep on going with MCU Daily. John, we got some concept art from Spider-Man Brand New Day that revealed alternate designs for the Savage Hulk, Punisher, and Scorpion, as well as other characters. Let's take a look at what would have been and what almost was. Shall we? I feel like the characters we got were pretty good, but I suppose if there were alternates, this is all from the book that leaked before the movie came out, and then infamously the video got taken down.
yeah,
Yeah, I
you
do
could
wonder,
definitely
like,
tell
Hulk
that
still
the
has stretchy
suit
clothes.
was definitely
Yeah.
like this version of the suit is definitely mimicking more what we saw at the
Andrew
end of
Garfield.
like No Way Home.
Oh, No Way Home.
Um,
Yeah. You're
Where
right.
it was
The
more
blue
like
color and,
shiny
the
and
silver
glossy
sort of-
rather than
Yeah.
what we got in the movie. Honestly, I prefer what we got
More
in the movie.
texture.
Although I will say that shiny suit is very good. I will say that
No,
was
I
probably
agree.
the best Tom Holland suit we
I-
got. And then
It also felt I don't know how it would look in like daylight and all. I think maybe that's why they changed it, because so much of this movie takes place with Spider-Man is swinging around during the daytime hours. Maybe a little too reflective. Also, it feels very reminiscent of the Amazing Spider-Man suit, which was pretty good. More the first one, but also kind of like the second one, the color scheme. I'm okay with, again, like you said, I'm okay with what we got. I don't have a problem with it. I feel like it actually overall works out better. But you can see they even had different color variations. They had like the darker blue, the brighter blue, the shinier blue, the more matte blue. So I do wonder about the clothes, though. I'm like, that sweater on Bruce Banner can really stretch, right? It can
Yeah.
really
I like how
stretch.
they didn't like
So-
have it like look like Professor fucking Hulk. Like I like how they, he looked like real Hulk. So that was
Yeah.
definitely good.
Well, dude, in the movie, when he's Professor Hulk, he's not as big as when he's Hulk. Like, that's why he's like, I didn't know you could get that big. And you could clearly tell
That's what she said.
the character design. He titled you a sex tape. But like, clearly there are differences in Professor Hulk and Savage Hulk, and I'm glad that they were very well pronounced in the movie. In more ways than one, I'm sure. Ask the mother of Scar. But anyway, let's keep going. Is that all for those concept art photos?
Yeah. That's it. That's all we got. Anyway, Marvel Studios got fined $160,000 pennies following the Comic-Con panel.
Yeah, Kevin Feige probably makes that in an hour.
Yeah,
with
bro
his salary.
makes that, like, spends that on hookers and blow like fucking weekly. Like, come on now. But according to the San Diego Union Tribune, the Disney-owned studio has been fined a whopping $160,000 for the Avengers Doomsday signage it placed across San Diego's Gaslamp Quarter arch during Comic-Con weekend. That covered the landmark for the duration of the 4-day convention, and the eye-catching banner was
Okay.
created by the Los Angeles-based company Eleview Outdoor. They reportedly told San Diego city officials about plans to install it a week before it went up, and were told not to because of concerns about safety and fears it could disrupt the flow of people during the year's biggest event. The company chose to ignore those warnings, very typical, and we're rich. The rules don't apply to us. And Marvel Studios will have to pay the price. Oh no, $160,000. You mean the thing that like fucking Spider-Man made in like pre-sales? Oh no, $160,000. The thing, a level of money that people like you and me will never fucking see, let alone achieve. oh yeah, like, and then fucking pennies to these fucking people. Oh no, oh, here's the $160,000. Oh boo, here you go. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Meanwhile, they're just counting the fucking cash of like, all right, how much money did we make from fucking Spider-Man alone today? And soon with the pre-sales for Doomsday that they're gonna, like, literally, it's Scrooge McDuck. Like, oh yeah, $160,000 means fucking so little to these people. Like, like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, look, they probably got, like Monique saying, millions of dollars of financial benefit from it in terms of the advertising and hype around the projects and the movies. They'll take it on the chin, and it's, if you read the rest of this, I mean, we can TLDR it, but basically they talk about how they were being fined like on a daily basis, so, like, it was 10K, another 10K, another 20, 30.
Oh yeah, kind of like how
so kind of added up.
Ellison is gonna get fined $7 million a day.
Yeah.
Because of the merger.
Well, no, the ticking fee, the $7 million.
Yeah, the ticking.
I mean, it adds up over time, and obviously David Ellison is worried about it. But $160,000. Look, here's the thing.
Don't worry, we're gonna talk about his
trend.
weak pullout game soon. So
Well, definitely. But like, as far as this goes, apparently it's been a trend in recent years where it's not just Marvel. Other studios do this all the time, where they'll put up advertising in areas that the city doesn't really permit, but they'll take the fines and the hit because they're like, it's worth it if it costs us even another like $50,000-$100,000 in just fines, because the advertising value it provides to get the eyeballs on. Because remember, San Diego Comic-Con itself as an event is big, but it's like any other like sporting event too. Like, when the Olympics show up to your town, when the World Cup shows up to your town, it's not just the attention on that, it's all the attention around it. So when you're a movie studio and you're trying to market your movies or your TV show and whatever else, being in that same area, you just get a lot of like, you just get the rub. Like, for example, like in wrestling terms, like whichever city WrestleMania goes to, every other wrestling promotion in the world, certainly all the American ones, and WrestleMania is a WWE thing. So whenever WrestleMania shows up in a town, like they were in Minnesota, no, they weren't in Minnesota. They were, I forget where they were. I think they were in Vegas for a couple of years straight. And every other wrestling company that's smaller will put up shows and do events around it because they know that's the best time.
I love the photo they picked for this.
So yeah, I'm sure Sir Patrick Stewart is.
Sir Patrick Stewart looks like he needs some Senecot here, because it looks like he's trying to push a turd out and just it's not working. Maybe he needs some prune juice, some Warriors drink. So,
but yeah, I'm sure $160,000 is probably nothing for Marvel for the
you know what else is nothing for Marvel? Getting or not getting Odessa Azion as Rogue. Because
is it a Zion or is it Azion?
Azion, I don't fucking know. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Okay.
Zion probably asked in the video below whether she's going to join the X-Men franchise. I don't know if I can answer that question. I don't know. I genuinely have no idea. So Dude, that's an odd response for someone who as of now has no official involvement with this movie.
Yeah,
of course.
She's like, I don't know if I can answer that question. Like, that's the part where I'm like, like, is there a sniper nearby Odessa? Maybe like
blink
you said,
twice
it's wording.
if you have a fucking gun to your head. Honestly, I could Odessa, Azion, I don't know. Odessa, I think she did a really good job.
This is an amazing name, by the way.
I've heard she's done a lot of great stuff in other roles as well. Whether it's Kaylee or her, I think both could rock it. Like, again, they're relative unknown. Like, again, they're not unknowns, but they have much smaller, filmographies as opposed to like what, what people would expect. Because let's get fucking Timothy Chalamet as Cyclops, and it's like, let's not do that. So, but that's what I like. I've said this before. Like, get relative unknowns or people with not a lot of ticks on their resume. Do that. That's what made
I mean, she was in Marty Supreme.
Yeah, Marty Supreme. It was a big movie, but like I've also seen like, oh yeah, I remember when fucking Marty Supreme, that was the movie that was breaking records for A24. Well, all right, Dan. That was the movie that was breaking fucking records for A24 before Backrooms came along.
Right.
And like every time I would see one of those, oh, Marty Spree broke another record. Literally 90% of the comment section was like, "What the fuck is this movie? I've never heard of it before." So even though you had it made $100 million at the box office, you still had a ton of people being like, "What the fuck is this movie?" And I would be willing to, here's the thing, this is my level of like general audience. To gauge a reaction of a general audience, I go to my dad. Because my dad is like, he fucking knows nothing about this shit. Like, he grew up with like, Christopher Reeve, George Reeves, Adam West kind of shit, like in terms of superhero stuff. But like, he doesn't know the nitty gritty. So I ask him like, hey, like, do you know who this actress is? Do you know what this is? Do you know who these like? Yeah, I will guarantee you, he's like, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about. So, that's who I go. Like, my mom is more knowledgeable of shit, so she's like kind of like slightly upper tier general audience member, but it's just like I go to my dad because like that's the guy of like I remember, for instance, I'm pretty sure I've told this story on the show before, where we were going to see, like, me and my friends were going to see Doctor Strange 2, and one of my friends had to duck out at the last minute, and I said to my dad, like, hey, do you want to come with us to see it? He's like, yeah, sure, I'll drive you and buy you concessions. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I was in the car and I was like, because it's like, it's a sequel, it was phase 4 Marvel, and he hadn't really seen a ton of Marvel movies. And I was like explaining it to him, like, okay, so this is what happened in the last movie. This is what happened in WandaVision. I was like explaining all this shit. And he's like, John, does a good guy fight a bad guy? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, that's all I need to know. It's like, he just doesn't. And it's not a bad thing. He doesn't like hate this stuff. He likes the movie. And he's just like, that's just the kind of guy he is. He just doesn't really fucking care about this shit. He's just like, I go to a movie, I enjoy it. That's the extent of it. Although he did ask me when the Jean Grey bomb dropped in Brand New Day, he's like, "Who's that?" Because people in my theater were like, "Oh shit, Jean Grey!" So he's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "It was Famke Janssen in the original X-Men." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then he got that, like he kind of sorta,
Right.
and then I explained it later. He's like, "Oh, okay, I got you." It's like this, so there's that, and could you so that's like who I go to for like of this like. Dad, do you know who Odessa Azion is? He's like, did you sneeze? What the fuck did you just say to me? He knows Marty Supreme. He fucking hated it.
Right.
So he probably would not pick her out of a lineup at all. So
Yeah. It was 5. It was number 5. Number 5 killed my brother. Oh my god, I forgot about that part. Anyway.
No, he's not chill. He's just a dork that doesn't care about anything. He's like, I'm old. I don't give a fuck about anything anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about this shit.
Here's the thing. Remember, we have talked about it. There was a report, I think in Variety or the Hollywood Reporter, that mentioned, I think it was Variety, that said they had been screen testing and auditioning actors for months now. And Emma Frost was like what they spent the most amount of time on, and kind of really dug deep with like how many actors they went through before they had landed on Samara Weaving. And we have talked about, again, even with Cyclops, I mean, it doesn't look like those are done deals. Marvel hasn't officially announced them, likely because the contracts haven't completely been signed off. So there's every bit as much a chance, considering how much her name has been around, that Odessa Zion could be Rogue. She could be auditioning for something else. There's always a chance that she might have started auditioning for Rogue, and then they end up saying, hey, you want to play this other character instead? We got a Rogue, but like I think we the director says, I think you'd be really good for this other role. Like Nicholas Hoult auditioned for Superman, got Lex Luthor. Like, we have talked about it before. It does happen.
Yes.
Man, I always got the hookup with the photos. Come on, like, it's just,
everyone accused me of being the horny one, yet I think Dan's hornier than I am.
What are you talking? What does this have to do with anything? It's a red carpet photo for her most popular
and like
movie.
half of her fucking chest is exposed.
What does that have to do with me? I tell her stylist that, like, she just was on the red carpet. Like, John, I think you're projecting, and you should just check yourself, because this is not my problem. Okay, all right, Fuki, please, like, we don't need to go there. Let's not do that. But her fit is sick.
Yeah, well, like fucking the majority of her tits are exposed. Like, what the fuck do you expect?
Okay, well, see, there you go. There's something here where, I don't know, she covered it up or whatever. Like, it's fine, John. You tell me that I'm a prude sometimes. I'm like, okay, John, like, this is clearly You are the one. You know what? We're just gonna leave it there for now. Odessa Zion kind of saying, I don't know if I can answer that question, which may just be like, very poor
But
choice
the
of
thing
words.
is, there was also
or
like,
she's
there's also like,
hinting at
I just go
something.
back to Andrew
So
Garfield. It's like,
yeah.
no, I'm not in the fucking movie. Shut up. So we'll see, like, we'll see
Well,
how
I
it
mean,
goes.
but like, here's the thing: Andrew Garfield was fighting uphill on those allegations because the dude had literal photos of him on a green screen set and
Blue screen.
video, blue, whatever, like screen set, like it was on a set. Was it blue? Okay, anyway, but like
It
the
was a
point is,
blue
like,
screen.
there was literal photos and videos, and I'm like, dude, you're saying that's not real, and I'm like, this is before the AI craze, so that's still like an extreme, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'll stop making.
I'm not
I don't want to be
making. I don't
associated
give
with
a
that.
fuck. It's just
I
I'm the
don't want to
one
be
that's
associated with
accused of
that.
like, oh, I'm the
Um,
fucking, I'm the horny asshole, and it's just like, I'm not trying to be.
Hey, Eric. All right. Well, you know what? That's all the MCU daily we got for you today. Let's get into some movie talk madness, John. The alliteration
Going
is
back to the
back.
dinosaurs, baby. Here now,
Yeah.
true cinema is where we're
Yeah,
at.
walk us through the reviews. I did hear, by the way, that Warner Brothers were a little like worried. They weren't really confident in what they had with this movie, which is why they
Well,
delayed
clearly,
the
why they
embargo for
fucking
this as much
scheduled
as
it
they did.
after Brand New
I
Day.
mean, technically it's 2 weeks later. So like they must have thought, Spider-Man's gonna be big, but 2 weeks later, there's probably enough room. Nobody probably thought that Spider-Man was gonna be like on its way to becoming the highest grossing movie of all time. So I'll give him some slack there. But again, the embargo dropping right as we get into preview day on Thursday here. So Wednesday night into Thursday, John. Like, what are the critics saying? Because apparently the Rotten Tomato score is not that bad. Apparently it's not
No,
that bad.
it's at 84 right now. That's based on 90
Yeah.
critics' verdicts, and it's now officially certified fresh on the review aggregator. Deadline writes, you may hate yourself in the morning for succumbing to this B movie starring A-listers confection, but count me in. I had a blast. While it's mindlessly entertaining in a big dumb fun kind of way, this is a movie that doesn't seem to know what it wants to be beyond a worshipful homage to 1980s Amblin canonical Spielberg in particular. The film confuses surviving a life-threatening ordeal with confronting the things that truly scare us. Rolling Stones, it's not a question of whether or not they make them like this anymore. You're just stoked they were able to make something like this at all right now. The element of jeopardy is missing. End of Oak Street is fun at first, but it feels like Mitchell doesn't really believe in any of it. While the influences are worn proudly, they veer into shtick occasionally, but not often enough to ruin a good time. Mitchell has made a highly personal movie that resonates with its depth as much as it delights with its action and visual effects. It looks like it's a fun movie, good fun, enjoyable, hell of a ride, but nothing like, and maybe a little bit deeper than that, but like not too deep, which is what I imagine a movie that is about how a fucking street from the 70s gets teleported back in time to dinosaur times.
Like
and yeah, like it's, come on.
You know what? That's a good comparison, Fuki. I'll give you that. But yeah, a little deep,
Dan,
but not too deep.
Fuki is one up on you. You're the one that's making the Bollywood comparisons. Come on, you gotta get up your game.
I don't need to make a Bollywood comparison. Bollywood doesn't quite make movies like that have concepts that are this far out just yet. I think it looks like this is La Brea, the TV show, as the movie again, and it does look like popcorn movie fun. But I mean, John, a little deep but not too deep. Title of your sex tape, Anne Hathaway. Great looking movie, interesting concept, A-list actors. They probably got a good paycheck for this, but that's good. It's in the 80s, it is a Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi movie. I think this is one of the ones that they greenlit, or because this is through Bad Robot, like the deal that Abrams still has with them. But anyway, and I mean, it's gonna make some money.
I think J.J. Abrams should just stick to producing at this point because he's not a good director.
This isn't? Did Abrams direct this?
No, he didn't. David Robert Mitchell wrote and directed this. He wrote and directed It Follows and Under the Silver Lake with Andrew Garfield, and then he's gonna be directing as well as the upcoming They Follow, which is a sequel to It Follows.
Okay, cool, yeah. Ball E would, but he does fraud E would.
What?
Okay.
I don't even know what that means.
Okay. Caleb, don't try humor. not very good at it. We're stuck with JJ as long as Reeves is there. He's finally working off that. Well, the thing is, they redid that $500 million deal. It's not an overall deal anymore. It's just a first look deal, which basically means that guarantee is gone. So that's why like they sold off their entire lot that was out on the West Coast, and Bad Robot is downsized and moved all the way back to New York. So the high point of Bad Robot is behind them. They're not the only one. Kevin
Hey Dan,
Hart's studio also had
can you get the clip ready?
Yeah,
Madam Web writers write a Terminator sequel, they'd have Arnold say, "I'll return to being back."
I'll return to being back.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
I found the video actually, so I liked it. I'm definitely gonna save that.
I'm sending it to you right now on Slack. You can have it.
Okay.
It's great.
All right, now I don't have to download it myself, but perfect. All right.
I'll be sure, Caleb. You have your opinions, and nobody else has your opinions. But let's keep going.
Anyway,
We got
speaking
other
of
reviews to
opinions, let's get into the opinions about Coyote versus Acme. They are good news for Looney Tunes fans, as this also Rotten Tomatoes score revealed. Apparently, it is now currently at 94%. It was at 100%, but now with 33 verdicts counted, it sits at an incredible 94%. Let's see, if it mimics what the audience feels. Hollywood Reporter hails it as one of the best live-action animated hybrid films ever. The fact that the film is not only good enough to make WB's decision to shelve it look cowardly and anti-art, but has only gained emotional resonance because of how that drama ties into its own story, is cause for celebration. It's a reminder that there are ways to homage decades of animated comedy without feeling like fan service, bringing these characters to both new fans and the old ones who may have forgotten how much they love them. It's loony dark waters, both winningly silly and slyly intelligent about what winning really means, all wrapped into a referential live-action toon world not unlike our own. Measuring by sheer laughs per minute, Coyote vs. Acme is the funniest film of 2026 so far. Coyote vs. Acme is the new version of Space Jam, because we don't talk about the other one, but better. It brings back the Looney Tunes with a bang and a glorious burst of zany energy. As with the best family films, I'm not sure if it's more for kids or adults. It deserves to be a phenomenon. There are a couple negative reviews. One from Screen International. The lackluster screenplay proves as faulty as Acme's crummy contraptions. Variety had the other, saying it could have been called Remembrance of Rube Goldberg Bomb's Past, yet there's a certain way that Coyote versus Acme next to those cartoons feels neutered and tame. But it's despite a very small film, but like they did, like quite literally, like big corporation, a movie all about trying to one up the big corporation. Like it just ironically fucking works, with how WB treated this film. Like WB being, as one of the reviews said, cowardly and anti-art, literally gave Coyote vs. Acme the greatest marketing campaign in the history of cinema. Like it's like literally the greatest of all. Like it's just like amazing how that turned out, because WB is run by morons. So
and we're gonna talk about David Zaslav quite a bit today with Barbie and DC TV stuff.
Yeah.
So
let's get into Barbie, because Barbie 2 apparently is in crisis. Sequel could be shelved amid pay battle and crumbling deal talks. Now, it does have until December, right? That's what it is?
It does, right. So actually, I wanted to kind of see, let me see if I can open this up. I want to kind of go through this article, and we'll read, kind of like what we did with the Supergirl stuff. This is going to happen twice on today's show. Once, we're going to talk about Barbie. We're going to talk about it in detail, because I think this is a pretty damning report.
Oh, boy.
Now, I do want, and then we're going to talk about the DC TV stuff. And again, I'm not like trying to spend like a million hours on it, but I think it's important because, John, this originally got reported in like it was like the idea, or like the news about what was going on with Barbie, or what was not going on with Barbie 2, I remember there was an article with David Ellison's Paramount, like, and what they were considering doing, uh, like, you know, but I don't know if it was, I think it was about last week when you were on the show, we talked about an article where, like, what could David Ellison do to potentially save, you know, the merger that is currently in potentially a crisis mode. And in that article, it was buried like in the fourth or fifth paragraph where they gave a brief update that right now Barbie 2 is it was the article was talking about how the merger kind of uh the pending merger stops Warner Brothers from being able to make certain decisions about like what to green light, what not to green light, how much money can they spend without getting an approval from Paramount, their future upcoming owners. And as part of that, they had mentioned that Barbie 2 was currently kind of being held up because that kind of went beyond the threshold with how much money was on the line with the sequel, with what, you know, the movie makers want, what the cast wants, and that's being an amount of money that Warner Brothers can't approve of themselves. They have to get approval from the pending owner, Paramount. Now, that being said, obviously, you know, a bunch of, you know, outlets have gone and chased this down, and there's a lot more details on it. This is big. Like, I just want to set the stage for a second before we dive into this article, John. And I promise this is gonna like tie back into DC stuff later as well, and David Zaslav and all the reasons why I'm like today. Really, I feel like we're gonna bust out the rant alert later. Don't you worry, because when we get to DC, we're gonna be ranting. But this is like a precursor to it. Remember this: the first Barbie movie is the highest grossing movie in the history of Warner Brothers Pictures. 1.5 billion. No other, I know like Disney's got like multiple $2 billion movies, but like for Warner Brothers, Barbie is it. Barbie was the highest, is the highest grossing box office, you know, of any movie that the House of Warner has ever put out. Now, that being said, Barbie 2, you would imagine after, you know, the first movie made $1.5 billion, dollars, they would want more money. Like, I get it that Ryan Reynolds, no, Ryan Gosling. I always confuse my Ryan. I get that Ryan Gosling, Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig, and Noah Baumbach, like her writing partner, they would want more money for the sequel. It's kind of similar to like what happened with Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix, and then Lady Gaga coming in for Joker 2, exactly what Pookie was saying. Now, the problem here is, in this article, they'll go into this, and I'll talk about it as we go through. But John, remember when they made Joker, Warner Brothers. Now this is I think it was a previous regime, right? So it wasn't the David Zaslav regime. So maybe you can only blame them so much. And the same applies here. That Barbie movie, the deals were made by the previous Warner Brothers regime. But the absolute what's the word? The absolute incapable. You know, what is it when you're like incapable of doing a good job? What's the word, John? The absolute, like, you know, stupidity. I'll just stick with that word. The absolute stupidity of the previous Warner Brothers regime was that they didn't set up the contracts for Joker and then now Barbie. But we're talking about Barbie, so mostly we're gonna like with Barbie. They didn't set up their contracts with Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling to have options for sequels. Incompetent. Yes, the absolute incompetence. That's the word. Thank you, Justin B. Guy. Thank you, Brian. The absolute incompetence of the old regime was that they made a deal which was for one movie and one movie only, absolutely no sequels whatsoever to be considered. Same with Joker. Like a standalone, we're never going to do it again. But when the movie made $1 billion and became the highest, you know, the most profitable movie Warner Brothers had ever put out, they were like, oh, we want to do a sequel. So of course the filmmakers and the actors who are also producers on the movie will ask the world, because they just earned you $1.5 billion, you know, $1.5 billion. So yeah, I think here something similar is going on, and basically the current Warner Brothers regime is like, we're not going to foot the bill for this. Now, John, remember Heat 2 was at Warner Brothers, and Michael Mann wanted a budget that Warner Brothers just wouldn't, you know, move on, and they were like, we just can't put this kind of money behind this movie. Ultimately, it ended up at Amazon MGM Studios, and they've brought in. We're gonna have some casting news about that in the quick hits later. But they have Leo. They got Christian Bale, like Leo DiCaprio, Christian Bale. They've got a top tier cast, and obviously Amazon, MGM, they want that kind of. They want the heat, both literally and figuratively. So they are putting the money where their mouth is. Whereas Warner Brothers, you can tell, is clearly in a position right now where they're not really able to put that kind of money out there, especially just that it's not as easy as, oh, go right ahead and do it, even if it is worth it. Like, because I feel like it'd be worth it, right? Like if the first movie made $1.5 billion, sure, spend even more so than Joker, like give them the money that they need to make this thing. Now let me dive into this article so that we can go to the details. So the article starts out with the "Do you guys ever think about dying?" in the line from Barbie, and well, cut to 3 years later, Hollywood insiders have spent the past week asking, "Do you guys think Barbie is dead?" Because Margot Robbie's version may as well be. Because the story here is this, Sean. Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi inherited this version of the movie, and Greta Gerwig. Nobody thought Greta Gerwig would make the highest grossing movie in the history of the studio, but she went on to do it, and it was a cultural phenomenon. I saw it 4 times in theaters. I'm sure other people saw it more or less. That's fine. I'm Just Ken got all the way to an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Ryan Gosling. So it's a movie that holds a lot of cultural cachet. Now, what's happened here? The New York Times put out a report, and then Variety and other outlets have gone and done follow-up investigations. Basically, they're stalled on making a deal to bring back the filmmakers and the actors who are also producers in the movie, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, for a Barbie 2. Now, for a long time, Greta Gerwig had said that, it's the movie that works on its own. But apparently, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach have an idea or a few ideas for what they want to do with a sequel. And for the right amount of money, for the right price, they're probably going to come back. But the deal is currently stalled. Now, remember, John, we've talked about this before. This has happened with other franchises, right? Like, for example, the best example, a recent example I could think of is Tomb Raider, right? Tomb Raider, I think the last movie was made by Sony or Lionsgate, and then they just didn't do anything else with that, with Alicia Vikander, and then the rights to the franchise to make another movie reverted back to the original owners. And now, that company has basically licensed it to Amazon Prime, and they're making the Sophie Turner starring TV show. So similarly, the rights to Barbie are owned by Mattel. Now, they have a timeline here that if they can't figure their shit out and greenlight and start working on a sequel by December, then the rights to the Barbie franchise will revert back to Mattel. But here's the caveat in all that, right? The caveat here is that if it does revert back to Mattel, Mattel will not be able to use anything from said Barbie movie in a sequel, because that would be owned by Warner Brothers. So they can make a sequel, they can make more Barbie movies, but basically this iteration will be dead because they can't move forward because Warner Brothers owns that part of it. Warner Brothers can't make another Barbie movie. Mattel can't make a Barbie 2 that is a sequel to the Barbie that we just saw for Warner Brothers. So it kind of means they'll have to start from scratch, and then that kind of defeats the purpose of capitalizing on the success of Barbie from a few years ago. Now, David Zaslav seems to be the one here who's really digging his heels in, because according to this reporting, the studio executives, presumably Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi as well, they're okay with paying up for the sequel, because they're you got to pay the people. They delivered us $1.5 billion, or close to it. It's the biggest movie in the history of our studio. Pay them up to do the sequel. And I think more so than Joker 2, this has the potential to actually, again, repeat it with another $1 billion performance. I think it's closer to Minecraft, except I think this was actually a good movie. Minecraft was mostly a popcorn movie. That almost made $1 billion, but you could tell there's enough of an audience there that even if the second movie is not as good as the first, unlike Joker Folie à Deux, there's much more likely that they will still make a shit ton of money. So it will be worth it, and then you can still amortize the cost, even if it makes significantly less across both movies. So you would still end up making a healthy profit most likely. But in what could be his final months running Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav, according to Variety, has dug in and taken a stand against the team's massive, although they say justifiable, according to many sources, pay demands. It is a showdown that's more dramatic than a beach off between Ken, and Ken, which is literally what they say in the article. That's not just me talking about it. But let me kind of continue here. Now, here's the thing. These are the numbers, right? 1.4 to 1. I think the final number for Barbie was like 1.4 and some change, so I'm rounding up a little bit. But like, here's the thing. If like what Eric is saying, if Warner Brothers lets the rights revert, I don't think they're going to be in a situation where they'll let Mattel make a movie with another studio and then distribute it for them. I think Mattel currently they're not like Marvel Studios where they're going to self-finance a movie and let Warner Brothers come and distribute it. And then the thing would be like it just doesn't work. Like if you wouldn't let this move forward, like why would you then have Mattel do their own thing that you have less control of that you just distribute? It's unlike Heat, where Michael Mann owns the story, you can't, like, if it leaves the studio, it has to be a new iteration. So it's not the same thing, right? So like it just doesn't quite work out that way. Now, according to the article in Variety, the most recent, here's the thing. Actually, before I even go to that paragraph, the studio has made more than 6 offers to the filmmakers in the past 3 years, all of which have been rejected. And the most recent offer, which came late this spring, is said by a studio source to be the highest that Warner Brothers has ever offered for a filmmaking team and its stars, which has been quoted by one source as life-changing money. Another deal source disputed the benchmark, saying the price of the package, the cost of all 4, Baumbach, Gerwig, Gosling, and Robbie, all 4 of them may be historic, but individual composition is not. So the overall number is historic, but individually it's not. Now CAA, which is the agency that represents all 4 of these people, their person who's in charge is directly leading these conversations. They haven't really said anything about this yet publicly to address this report, but look, you've got 4 months now, John, to get this thing through across the finish line and get Barbie 2 going. Where do you feel this will land? I mean, I know you're not as big of a fan of Barbie as I was, but
I mean, I never saw it, so I don't really have a foot in this race.
But
I mean, what are the
from
odds
a business
of,
standpoint,
catching lightning in a bottle twice? Like, I can't imagine Barbie.
But even if it
2
makes $600 million, isn't that worth it? To make the money?
I don't know.
It's. I feel like that.
Remember they went all in on Joker 2, and look how that fucking turned out. So. And I like that movie.
There's that too.
It's whatever. I mean, it's just WB just can't get out of their own way. And I think it would be even infinitely worse if fucking Ellison came into the equation if the merger goes through. So it's just it's kind of like a lose-lose situation for WB. It's just either Zaslav flips his house and gives it to Ellison, and then Ellison makes it into this garbage churning fucking studio like he's already doing to Paramount, and then or if WB gets away scot-free unscathed, then they're just gonna go back to making dog shit fucking business decisions like they've been doing for almost over a decade at this point. So it's just kind of it's just I understand there is also the idea of what can they do with this impending merger. So it's just it's kind of just a bad I
think it hamstrings them a lot because they have to run a lot of these decisions by Paramount when there's a certain amount of money involved, the threshold once they cross. I think it's 150 million. I thought it was the number. Don't quote me on this. So any financial decision that involves money that is more than that, they have to kind of ask Paramount for approval, which, I mean, you can imagine that may not hurt you for smaller movies. For something like a Barbie 2 definitely is a prime example of where you kind of have your hands tied behind your back, literally. So even if David Zaslav wanted to make this work, I think they would still have it complicates a lot of things, which kind of, again, it puts Warner Brothers in a really compromised position to compete against other studios. I mean, they talk about it here, the numbers that are involved here, what, the actors and the filmmakers are asking for, which, by the way, according to some of the rival studio executives who work on these contracts, they were aghast at the fact that these numbers, their Warner Brothers is not just signing off on it to make a sequel to the most successful movie from a few years ago and the highest grossing in the history of the studio. The financials, the new financial ask from Robbie, Gosling, Gerwig, and Baumbach are considerable, sources say in Variety. They include pay bumps and upfront fees and generous increases in back-end participation, minus Baumbach, who's only going to get a fee hike. So basically, he won't get any back-end points, but Baumbach will still get increase in his salary. Ryan Gosling is reportedly asking for $20 million to reprise his Oscar-nominated role as Ken, which I'm like, hell yeah, you got nominated for an Oscar. Like, go get that bag, you know? And then, of course, you got Margot Robbie projected to make roughly $50 million in salary and back end from the first movie. Though a studio source says that her final composition will wind up well ahead of that, meaning she's going to have made more than $50 million from the first one. So I can only imagine she probably wants a bump on that. Now that includes the back end. So that, her actual, fee, upfront fee, like what for Gosling is 20. I'm guessing hers is probably in the same range. And then her back end participation gets her over 50 million, like Robert Downey Jr. first Avengers movie numbers. Now here's the thing. Gerwig also made tens of millions of dollars the first time around for that movie, for Barbie. Those are dizzying numbers, surely, especially for a sequel that's going to take several years probably to make, because right now Gerwig is doing Narnia, and who knows if she wants to do a sequel to that as well. But one source said that the creative team is satisfied with the upfront salaries that are offered, meaning that Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, Noah Baumbach, and Greta Gerwig are all okay with the number, this upfront salary that Warner Brothers is offering them. The problem is not that. They're more like in disagreement over the back end terms, which is the points on the movie, like based on the profits. So another source disputed the accuracy of both of these points. So Variety is saying they're getting conflicting reports on this. But Variety has learned that the team is not asking for first dollar gross. First dollar gross is they would get paid upfront from the box office pot before the studio gets to recoup their investment. So if a movie makes $600 million and the studio gets to keep, let's say, $400 million of that, and let's say you get 5%.
It made money.
Like if you get 5% of first dollar gross, so the studio made $400 million, 5% of that is what, like 20 million? Am I wrong about that? I think that's 20 million, right? So yeah, if you get 5% of first dollar gross, that would have been $20 million. If like now, obviously 1.5 billion, do the math on that. Let's say the studio kept about 800 million of that. Margot Robbie would have made 40 million in the back end points. If that her thing was 5%, it's probably lower, like maybe 2.5%. So that's 20 some odd million dollars. That's not what they're asking for. They're probably asking for back end participation post studio recouping their investment, which is significantly less, because if they spend 150 million making the movie and they made 800 million in profit, then you minus 150 from the 800, 650, and let's say you do that same 5% calculation, your 5% calculation is on the 650, and that brings it down from 20 million to like 15 million, 17 million. So it is a significant difference. That being said, David Zaslav, is, while the other studio executives seem to be, okay with giving these demands and are giving into these demands, David Zaslav is like saying this just isn't worth it. Like, according to one insider who's close to the knowledge of the deal, just plainly said that the sequel will not move forward unless Warner Brothers comes around. So it looks like David Zaslav is just putting his foot down and saying, we're just not going to do it. Now, one source speculated in this article saying, how is it not in the interest of Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders to have a sequel to the biggest film in the studio's history? Like, it's like there's number of high profile insiders that have been appalled by the optics of this for Zaslav, who's on the precipice of making hundreds of millions of dollars in Paramount's acquisition of Warner Brothers if that goes through. But he's happy to thwart $1 billion sequel, like, just because he doesn't want to pay the actors the money that they probably deserve for what they're bringing to the table. Now, studio insiders say that Zaslav, Abdi, and DeLuca take talent relations very seriously.
I think Dan had too many links open.
I'm still here. I don't
know.
You're
good? Okay. You really froze. Here. You really froze.
Did you guys miss me? I'm here. Hey, Patrick. Can Warner Bros. Survive and be a successful studio without merging with someone? Well, they have enough. They were paying down their debt quite well. I think they can. It's gonna be a
And
longer
remember, like most of that
turnaround,
debt,
but
we were saying, we've
yeah,
said this many times, most of that debt was coming from the cable channels, and they were gonna like split that off into
they're gonna split that
Discovery,
off. Yeah,
and before this merger went through. So
yeah. By the way, they should definitely title the Barbie sequel "The Barbie, the Ken, and the Mojo Dojo Casa House." That would be the perfect fucking name for the movie.
also, yeah, and it's also way too long. People will just call it Barbie 2. Ah, what are you seeing? Barbie, the
The Mojo
Barbie 2.
Dojo Casa House. Come on, man. It's such a good name. Such a good name. It's like, or like just call it Sublime, and then you just use the quote from the first movie, like Sublime. You know, just like running. It's great stuff. Or I'm Just Ken. Part 2.
No, they should call it Barbie because we didn't hate men in the first movie enough, so we made a sequel.
Barbie, the patriarchy strikes back. That's
Yeah.
the one. That's the one. That's the title.
Yeah.
There you go, David Zaslav. Now you have what you need to make the sequel. But anyway, apparently, you know, they're saying here in this article is very damning of David Zaslav. Like, look at this next, but Electric Kenalu. Okay, this next paragraph, John, not only ties into the Barbie issue, but what we're going to talk about DC later, because they're calling one rival executive in Hollywood has said this is classic Zaz. Another source advised this debacle be added to the list of errors that the TV bred executive, because like Zaslav made his money initially being an executive with NBC Universal as a TV executive, and then went on to run Discovery. And this, film executive is saying it just adds to the list of errors that the TV bred executive David Zaslav has made during his tenure, specifically in the movie business. Think of shelving Batgirl, Coyote vs. Acme, taking a tax write-off to trim corporate debt, or greenlighting the fucking $45 million mega bomb, The Alto Knights, with Robert De Niro, that if I asked you what The Alto Knights is, you were like, aren't those like Gotham characters, like the one with Nightwing? No, motherfucker, Alto Knights. You know, the one where Robert De Niro played 3 dudes and
2 dudes, but
whatever. Like, he played 2 dudes that
it was a good movie.
And they weren't even related, but they looked the same, and we were supposed to just go along with that. Like, it was a bad movie, Don. Nobody saw that movie, but
I liked it. I thought it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good.
I mean, now on the Mattel side, this is also a problem because Mattel is trying to, like, make a lot of movies from their properties. Like, they're trying to do stuff with other franchises they have. I think Power Rangers they're trying to do with Disney now, or Netflix, wherever they are. And then, with Barbie, they want to do more Barbie. But this kind of becomes a problem for them because, again, if Warner Brothers can't do this, then they can't make a sequel off the Barbie that everybody loves. And I'm pretty sure nobody's going to want a new rebooted Barbie that has nothing to do with the one that we just got a few years ago. So this is a problem, obviously, for all sides. But yeah, I mean, look, the fate of Barbie, according to this article at Warner Brothers, may have been an unexpected savior in David Ellison. Should the mogul win his bid for the iconic company, he could reactivate the Mattel rights and bring the creatives back into the fold. One source said, I bet this would be the first deal he makes. Representatives for filmmakers at Star Studio and Mattel and CAA declined to comment for the story. So there was a chance maybe David Ellison says, this is the first thing I'm going to do when I walk in the door. I'm going to greenlight Barbie 2.
Yeah, fucking David, I will suck Trump's dick until the cows come home. Ellison is gonna fucking greenlight a feminist movie deriding male entertainment. Are you fucking serious?
Dude,
are you kidding me right now?
I wouldn't put it past him, though.
Stupid can you
I wouldn't put it past
possibly
him, but
be? Get the fuck out of here. Come on. That would be
Look,
like if
personally,
like Ben Shapiro greenlighting a pro-Islam movie. Are you fucking stupid? Come on now. Get the fuck out of here.
So
Get out of
look,
here. Fucking idiots.
I disagree with you. I think David Ellison probably would be okay. Like, he knows when it's good business, and so I think he would do it. Now, here's the thing. Regardless of what you think about David Ellison coming down the road, because here's the thing. There's a lot of hypotheticals here. David Ellison may not hold the keys to the kingdom until who knows when, with what's going on with the trial, and even if they try to settle out of court with the attorney generals and the writers guild. So the clock on this runs out in December. Barbie 2, if they don't get their shit together, then Barbie 2 is shelved for indefinitely. And at that point, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling are busy. Like Margot Robbie's got 5 other movies in the works. Ryan Gosling's got a Ghost Rider movie. He might do a couple of Star Wars sequels. He's got other things going on beyond that. He might be starting to work on secretly a Project Hail Mary sequel, like whatever else he's doing with Andy Weir and stuff. These are busy people. Greta Gerwig might want to do other, Narnia movies and other projects. She wanted Noah Baumbach, obviously, with her as a writing partner. They have things that they've got planned in the pipeline. So I think if Warner Brothers loses this opportunity and doesn't move forward with this by December, then I think we're in a situation where this might just be in limbo for years, which may just kill it. Just time itself might just kill this project, regardless of whether David Ellison eventually comes in and wants to or doesn't want to, green light and reactivate the rights. Mattel also could just go and say, all right, fuck it, we're just gonna reboot this thing, and like Universal, you want to do this, or Sony, you want to do
that
this?
Would be an ultimate. That would be yet another fuck you of Mattel just going to Universal, and trying to work with what they have, even though they can't do a sequel to what they had. But that would be fucking hilarious. They go to Universal, and then Universal makes a sequel. It somehow works, and it makes $2 billion at the box office. That would be fucking funny. Imagine losing 2 major filmmakers that could have made you like $3 billion, but nope, you couldn't get out of your own fucking way.
Yeah, more than that. But yeah, I mean, look, it's. I think for the sake of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav should change his mind and be like, pay these people and make this movie, because Barbie 2, I guarantee you, will make at least enough money to make back whatever they spend on it and then some. And at the very least, it will forward the franchise. And it's the sequel to the highest grossing movie in the history of the studio. It's like it should be under normal circumstances. I'll answer this question in a second. But under normal circumstances, this would be like an automatic decision, no doubt, let's do this. But the fact that there's a merger going on, and David Zaslav is thinking about like all the billions he's going to have in a couple of months' time, potentially, I just think that's affecting this in a way that it's unfortunate. It really is, and this is going to be the theme today on the show. But yeah, I mean, I want to see a Barbie 2, even though I don't know if you need one, but like if they're gonna do it, you might as well, make it with the same people involved, right? Brian saying, as a bigger fan of Barbie, could they recast Margot Robbie, or does she have to play Barbie? I suppose they could recast her. I don't think they're gonna want to, because she is Barbie from like that. If you're gonna do that iteration of Barbie,
they can bring back Amy Schumer for the original idea for Barbie way back when.
No. But thanks for trying, John. Thanks for playing. But like, no, you would not.
Well, I know.
I just think like from a studio executive standpoint,
because I know like Amy Schumer
people won't associate it with the same tale.
Wasn't it back at Sony? They tried to get the Amy Schumer thing on the ground, and then it fell through. And then I think Gal Gadot was supposed to be Barbie, and then she had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. And then that was when Margot Robbie came in.
Yeah. And you know what? Ultimately, the Greta Gerwig iteration of the movie is the best possible version, because I've read into a lot.
Or just get Samara Weaving, since she's literally just Margot Robbie, but better.
But she was in the movie already, John. She was in the film, and like that, they almost like in a meta way reference that in the movie, which is kind of fun. Yeah, I mean, Samara Weaving also is kind of busy. She's lining up projects left and right. So, look, I don't think as fans we need a Barbie 2, but I think for Warner Brothers, they need a Barbie 2. Like, look at where Warner Brothers is this year with their slate, John. Like, hello, Anthony. Like, Warner Brothers 2026 film slate. I don't know if you want to quickly do a Google, John, and look up all the movies they got coming out this year. We talk about it all the time. But I'm like, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for Warner Brothers outside of maybe Dune Part 3. And even that's got an uphill battle with Doomsday. Like, that would have made more money if it wasn't coming out on the same date as Avengers Doomsday. And the disrespect from Sony to be like, or from Disney to be like, hey, we're just gonna date Avengers right opposite you, even though you're already there. Like, you move, or if you don't move, then you're just gonna get run over. So I don't know. Warner Brothers is
so after End of Oak Street, the future.
Oh yeah, Emma Mackey was in there. You're right.
For WB are Practical Magic 2, Digger, Clayface, The Cat in the Hat, The Great Beyond, if that's still coming out this year with the J.J. Abrams movie with Glenn Powell. Dune
I think
Part
that got
3.
moved. No, no. It is coming out. No. Is it?
No,
I think
okay,
it
so it
is.
says here Great Beyond now expected October 1st,
2020.
2027. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
The only ones
moved
that I
that
could
to,
see
like, the
making a
previous
good
Batman
amount of
date.
money are, like, in terms of profit, are Clayface and Cat in the Hat. And that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers is just, again, look, I'm going to say it for one last time before we move on. Barbie 2 should be an automatic yes, considering it's the highest grossing movie in the history of the studio. And yeah, if they're asking for a lot more money, even if it is a record, I'm like, for a movie that set the new record for had the most amount of money earned by a single movie for your studio, why would you not break the record for the most amount of money paid to the same creative team to come back for the sequel? I know they got burned with Joker Folio Do, but that was a different situation. And nobody said, you don't need to give Greta Gerwig like Kate Blanchett with the budget and everything. You can improve on your mistakes. I just think that right now, the point I'm trying to make is, yes, this is a David Zaslav putting his foot down situation, which is, again, I don't agree with him on this at all. And you could say they did the same with Heat 2, and maybe Heat 2 will prove to be a good decision that they did not commit to the $200 million that Michael Mann wanted for it. But Warner Brothers needs a win. They need more franchises. They need more things that are not Lord of the Rings, that are not just DC, which are having troubles of their own. I just think this is all, like, right now, this is all being affected directly by the fact that their CEO is probably got, literal dollars flying around his head because he's thinking about his golden parachute that he's going to, like, jump out of a plane with in a few months whenever the Paramount deal comes down. And it just, it unfortunately for Warner Brothers and the studio, it puts them in a really, really bad situation. It's compromised.
Yeah.
They can't make easy, simple decisions. And I bet you Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi are like, this should have been an automatic yes, but it's coming from above their heads, and David Zaslav just doesn't want to do it. So it's unfortunate. I hate this, that this is what it comes down to, but we'll see. I mean, 4 months is still a long time, so maybe they'll come around on this. But anyway, we'll leave that there. We'll have more ranting to do later when we talk about DC.
Although,
holy shit.
Speaking of, Zaslav and merging and all that fun stuff, let's truly get into the business of Hollywood. It's only one link, Caleb, so don't fucking blow your load or shit your pants or whatever the fuck you do. It's just one thing, and this is it.
Whatever the fuck David Caleb does.
Anyway.
Cool. John, you want to talk? Okay, so basically, remember the other day we talked about this. So this isn't necessarily new information, but basically, David Ellison was threatening the other day. Like, he didn't do this publicly. He apparently told his executives in some, high-level meetings with Paramount execs that then got leaked. I think it got leaked on purpose so that this now plays out in the public eye. And also, we heard responses from the California Attorney General and a bunch of other people that are relevant to this. But basically, Swag fan, WB can't get out of their way.
I said that
don't
before.
Giggle again? What? You don't giggle again. Go fuck yourself, Caleb. Anyway, but like David Ellison was threatening to pull Paramount out of California if Attorney General Rob Bonta doesn't agree to negotiate a settlement for his, lawsuit with Paramount to stop the merger and start working on the negotiation for a settlement by October 1st. Now, there's some details from that Puck News gave us for what that actually would mean in terms of like moving out of California for Paramount. And what that would mean is a relocation to, I mentioned before, Tennessee, which was lobbying for this, Texas, which there's a lot of businesses that have moved from California to Texas, like SpaceX being one of them. Elon Musk did that a few years ago, one of the bigger examples. Georgia is another one. Georgia is pulling in a lot of like data centers, which, to the blight of the people that live in Georgia, and rightfully so. But Georgia is also a big East Coast production hub. So those could be the 3 states where Paramount could go and relocate to from California. They also would involve planning to sell the Paramount and or the Warner Brothers lots, which would be historic, John. Those are 2 historic lots that have existed in LA for over 100 years each, Paramount being the older of the 2. Now, one thing to consider, even with the current merger, if it goes through as is, David Ellison has said that he's going to most likely end up selling off or leasing part of Paramount's lot down the road, and turn it into multi-purpose properties, basically like shopping areas and other things, and then keep the Warner Brothers lot completely intact. So there's already supposedly plans post-merger to like turn part of Paramount's lot into not Paramount's lot. But this would mean that they would just sell off the lots and then I'd imagine, build new ones on wherever they go next, which would be Texas, Tennessee, or Georgia. Also, most studio jobs would have to shift over 5 years. Now, that's a lot because I know there's a lot of people that would just move, but like there's people that have families, or like if your industry is based in LA where everybody else, all the other studios are there, but now all of a sudden if you work for Paramount and Warner Brothers, you have to move elsewhere. I mean, yeah, Georgia has a lot of production, but like there's people in Georgia that already work in Georgia and that are in unions. Like it's not easy to just be like, I'm gonna like uproot from LA and like so for
Let's
union
just
employees this would be
take
really difficult.
Paramount and push it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's not as easy as like for executives they have multiple homes, they're like fly around all the time, but like for the working class people who power the movies that we love, it's not as easy to just be like, okay, we're just gonna like move across the country, because like from California to Texas, it would be a long way, and Tennessee and Georgia is like on the other side of the country. So that's obviously going to be really disruptive. And then the board apparently at Paramount has already signed off on this, and Rob Bonta, of course, called it blackmail. But John, it looks like the plan here is much more concrete to move out of California than the initial threat report yesterday suggested, which was that David Ellison, they made it sound like David Ellison just said it to the board in passing, or being like, we will consider doing it. But if you look at all these bullet points, apparently they already have a pretty detailed outline of what they would do. And I mean, so maybe that gives credence to the idea that this is not just an empty threat, that they will follow up on it if they have to, which, I mean, it is blackmail pretty much. Let's call it what it is. But I mean, come on, like this would be upending Hollywood in a way that Hollywood has never been upended since Hollywood started. Like 2 major studios all of a sudden leave town. You talk about LA being a ghost town now. LA will be a real ghost town if Warner Brothers and Paramount are no longer based out of
If the merger
the city
goes
and out of
through.
the state. Yeah, if the merger. I mean, that being, of course, the big assumption here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if David Ellison's pull-out game is good, but I guess he is threatening for realsies to pull Paramount out of California. I would not want this to happen, John. I don't know. Like, I'm sure you agree.
Well, yeah, I don't
where
want
do
this
you
to
stand
happen
on
either.
this?
But again, this is the fuckwad that's gonna try to buy fucking WB. So and still the fucking certain group of people think this is so much better because it's like, oh, it's funny because I see people make posts about like, oh, you didn't stop all these other mergers, but you're stopping this one. It's like, yeah, the other mergers were they tried to stop them, but it didn't fucking work out. This one, it's just now we're at a tipping point. We're at a big tipping point of like Hollywood, and a lot of people in that world are finally fucking putting their foot down of like, no, you can't fucking get a monopoly. Like the fucking Fox deal went through. They tried to stop that, but it didn't get a lot of media attention because of Disney, and Disney always gets what they want. And this is like no, we're finally gonna be like, this fucking can't happen. You're gonna fucking kill this shit because you're a fucking spoiled trust fund rich boy who wants all the things, who wants all the toys, not caring if this is disastrous for everybody around him because you just want more toys. Like it's just ridiculous. And people are like, oh, but like, it's a good thing because why? Oh, because it's like, because this one supports my political beliefs, but not the other one. So it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and to answer a couple of questions, the World Weeb, you're asking, isn't Warner Brothers going to go bankrupt without the merger? No, they're not. Remember, Warner Brothers Discovery inherited like, I think it was like $50 billion or something like that.
It hasn't been stopped. It hasn't been stopped. That's the thing. That's the worrying thing. That's why they're trying to put their foot down.
No merger of this kind in the past has been stopped. The Department of Justice sued to stop the AT&T merger with Warner Brothers, and it ran for 2 years, but ultimately, it went through. But to answer your question, World Weeb, Warner Brothers had inherited 50 billion or something in that neighborhood of debt from the AT&T spinoff to become Warner Brothers Discovery, and they had paid it down roughly in half. I think the number was, or like a good chunk of it. Like they had about 35 billion left, which is still a big number, but like when you start with over 50 and you manage to pay down almost 20 of it, they were making good progress. Now the thing is, the stock value price will crash pretty much back down to what it was a couple of years ago before all this started, and that's going to hurt, obviously. But I think not carrying $100 billion in debt is also going to help them. And then, like you said, John, the plan would be to probably go back to trying to split the company in two, and get the broadcast and the cable networks, they don't have any broadcast networks, spun off as Discovery Global, and that will get saddled with most of the debt. And then Warner Brothers Studios with HBO and everything will be largely debt free, and I think that's a plan they can go back to. Dark Lead Eric mentioning something I think the John Campea show mentioned about this, saying the merged studio would control over 30% of the anticipated top grossing blockbuster market, violating Section 7 of the Clayton Act. Yes, that's one of the, so there's 3 points on which Paramount is being sued by the attorney generals. One of them is this is an antitrust law, so to prevent monopolies in markets. So there's one of the things they're pursuing on the basis is top anticipated top grossing blockbusters, basically big tentpole movies like DC, Marvel, Star Wars, stuff like that. And they're saying that if a single entity can control over 30% of the market of those big blockbusters, which they're saying that of combined Warner Brothers and Paramount would, that would be violating the Clayton Act, or Section 7 of the Clayton Act. They're also, suing on the grounds that it will give the new company over 30% share in the basic cable network market, and it would give them an outsized amount of power to negotiate fees and literally bully around Comcast and DirecTV and say, you take it or leave it, because we literally give you most of the channels you have on your cable package. So you either take what we're giving you or GTFO. And we have already seen Disney kind of like exercise that power since the Fox merger, and they got all the Fox networks minus Fox News and Fox the broadcast channel, but like FX and everything else that they got, Nat Geo that they got as part of the deal, like Disney has a lot of influence. So and then there was a third thing that I'm forgetting right now, but there's 3 tenets on which the attorney generals are suing Paramount, and one of them is anticipated top grossing blockbusters. But yeah, look, we could talk about the market definitions and everything. We've talked about it before. The point right now is that this is, like, I think one of you guys said it in the chat, Chuck Rod said it, like, I think to me, putting this report out there, we went from like thinking, okay, David Ellison, they're in a tight spot now, to now realizing not only are they desperate, John, but I think now it's more clear than ever, like Chuck Rod said, David Ellison has revealed their true colors. Remember what I mentioned a while ago? Why aren't they touting more of what they're going to turn the future company into? What grand plans do they have for the combined Warner Brothers Paramount and all the franchises that we will get, all the jobs that will be created? They're not talking about that. No, they're talking about like, we're going to get out of California and we're going to move everything. We're going to sell the lots. I'm like, that to me is like, oh, so these are your true colors. Like, we have to stop this merger now.
The billionaire rich boy fucking was lying to everybody. Crazy. I know. Yeah. I mean, that's why I said, like, I was initially pissed about Netflix owning them, but then I realized, oh shit, no, Paramount's the real. I mean, it would have sucked either way, but Netflix was truly the lesser of two evils. It was really like, that was because, they still would have still held true to the theatrical experience in terms of the Warner Brothers stuff. They would have, still, and the thing is, not there wouldn't have been as much job overlap. So yeah, even though people would have lost their jobs, it still won't be as heavily if this goes through, because it's 2 studios, it's 2 theatrically releasing studios. Well, Netflix is, you know, a streaming service. So yeah, Netflix owning them wouldn't have been great, but it would have been better than this. And we really gotta, you know, make sure that this shit doesn't happen. And it shows that like David Ellison really just doesn't fucking care. Like he totes about like, oh yeah, I love DC, I love this, I love that. This motherfucker is gonna clean house and play with his toys until he tanks both companies, sells it off for pennies, and goes off to cry to daddy about something else and how what else he wants. And it's, you know, that's what I've been saying that for fucking months now. Like nobody listens to me. Like I've been saying this for so fucking long about how this dipshit is gonna fucking ruin things, and it's that's how it's gonna be if this shit goes through. That's truly how it's gonna be. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like I kind of, you know, resigned of like, okay, so Hollywood, the movie industry is truly ruined. But now the fact that there is the possibility, now I'm not going to get too excited, but like the possibility that this maybe might not happen is very like exciting, because it's like this dipshit doesn't deserve, like he's already fucking running Paramount into the, I mean, not running Paramount, but like the signs are there. Like it's iffy shit's coming out of Paramount. And then, I mean, to be fair, the same thing happened with Zaslav getting WB. Like the first few years were not good either, and Paramount's first year under Ellison has not been very good. But it doesn't, like, I also don't I mean, I don't trust Zaslav either, but I fucking trust him a hell of a lot more than this, because at least like Zaslav, as you said, he's at least kind of sort of in the industry. He was a TV executive. He was an executive for
Well, I mean,
Discovery,
David
which is a little
Ellison
bit better
has
than
been
just
a movie producer for a long time, just not at
that
this level.
too. And
It's just
but like, you know, there is, I understand there is that, and but like David Ellison, he's just like random rich guy. Like that's all I see him as. You know, the fucking chode with lips and fucking garbage bags under his eyes. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's just I don't trust him at all. Like I don't
Yeah.
trust any of these assholes. And if like this is the guy that's gonna really like, oh, it's okay if he owns it because, you know, my politics are fine.
I
It's
just
like, get the fuck out of here.
I think, like, to me, like, as I would just go back to, you know, in times like this, they could have gone the route of, like, they keep saying like, yeah, you know, we're pro competition, pro labor and all that, but I'm like, look, when the shit hits the fan, when the rubber meets the road, you know, got down on your knees and started to like play dirty, and really, you know, the fangs came out, rather than saying, look, writers, we are going to commit to doing this and that to make sure that you guys get as many opportunities after the merger as you are getting now, so that we can reassure you that we're
Yeah,
going
but
to
that was
be a
before
pro
Ellison.
labor.
That was before Ellison. That's
Instead
the
of,
thing.
or like doing things like, hey, theaters, or like, you know, the state attorneys, like, here's a proposal that we have. Remember when they were trying to win the bidding war, they were proactively putting out proposals to address the concerns that Warner Brothers had, right? Here they could say the same thing, like, here's a proposal, Attorney General, we will get the conversation started. Like, you don't come to us, we will come to you. How about this? We commit to doing X, Y, and Z to ensure that we're going to keep Warner Bros. And Paramount as competing studios, even though they're under one corporate umbrella. And we're going to commit to making this many movies from this, and this, or like, here's our proposal for this. This is what we plan on doing here, you know, and we're going to license more Warner Brothers IP for theme parks or whatever. These are the plans. But instead of telling us what they're going to build, they're telling us what they're going to destroy, which is like, we're going to take the two studios out of California. I'm like, it's just, to me, that right there is more bright as day, clear as night, you know, that these guys ultimately, they're not going to like stick to a lot of the promises they're making. And to me, I think now I would love to see this merger stopped. It still is an uphill battle. It still, I think, slightly favors Paramount. Even it just, we'll see if they can run out the clock on Paramount, the Attorney General. But like, there's a lot of time between now and when the trial even set to start. I do think this will go to trial, but the odds of that, you know, get reduced every time we hear about like more settlement talk. I mean, Rob Bonta has opened the door that he might actually be open to doing settlement of some kind. but like Kevin was saying, I mean, even if it doesn't go to trial, like whatever settlement they have, I mean, it's gonna have to be something significant. So we'll see what this turns into. Obviously, we'll keep following the story as it moves along, but we'll leave it there for now. And of course, as anything else develops, we'll bring that to you guys. So let's move on to the quickest, John, before we get into DC, because I gotta save some energy for the DC rants we're gonna get into later. Whew.
Yeah. I've just
Let's keep.
you know, I've
You're
resigned.
resigned to.
It's okay. I've resigned to it. Like, it's okay. Like, you know. Anyway. Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Speaking of douchebags who were in charge.
Wait, how
of the
is that
company,
the first one? Wait, is that the first link? I think you're like at the end.
Oh,
of the
whoops
line.
a daisies.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there you go.
I tried my best. But Disney forces Warner Brothers to start a wider pre-sales window for Dune 3. Tickets for all IMAX screens go on sale on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There's a massive pressure on WB to give theaters a response to Doomsday massive pre-sales. We'll witness a bloody battle for screens. Nice. Cool.
What was the last bit there?
We'll witness a bloody battle for screens.
So
You
basically,
can fucking read it. It's right there.
so-
Like,
Yeah, but the point, like, okay, so like, what if somebody's just listening to the show? So all the IMAX ticket sales will be available for you to buy starting this Tuesday at 9 a.m. for Dune, which seems to be, I mean, there's an implication here that, you know, because Doomsday is putting all their tickets on sale, that Dune is under pressure to start releasing their ticket sales as well, because usually 4 or 5 months out for a movie like Dune, you wouldn't, release the tickets this early. But the fact that, the movie that's opening right opposite you I think this makes sense. Dune feels the heat. Dune Part 3. So, yeah.
nice.
Jack Loudon. Wait, I did not see it. Is he? If he is the James Bond, I'm like, hey, he's the guy I kept calling. I'm gonna look this up.
No,
keep going.
I remember
Angelica.
seeing that earlier. Like, that's like apparently the big rumor now is like, oh, he's the one being considered. I don't
If
trust it at all.
if that actually happens, I want credit, because I fucking was calling for Jack Loudon to be James Bond 2 fucking years ago, bro. Like, Slow Horses, he's literally, already playing James Bond for MI5.
I mean, I'll
in
take
that
it over
show.
Callum Turner, who's like been like a
Yeah.
heavy, like, person for the role. Anyway, Miami Vice 85. Alden Ehrenreich joins Michael B. Jordan and Austin Butler in Universal's latest take on the classic series. We don't know who he's playing or what it's going to be about or anything like that. It's going to be inspired by the pilot episode, but that's kind of all we know. But yeah. So maybe he can play the villain.
I mean, cool.
That could be cool.
It looks like a stacked cast, though, right? Miami Vice 85. Like, come on, man. Love it. Ehrenreich. How do you say his last name?
Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich. There you go. Thank you. Yeah.
That would be
Solo
funny.
joins Creed, joins Austin Butler.
The Traders, New Blood season 1 cast photos. Meet the Blood. I don't care.
Basically, so I think this is like the first American version of the show with like civilians, meaning like it's not like celebrities, which is the opposite of the British version, where like the celebrity one was like the exception to the rule. Anyway, so goes to show you like American British sensibilities, but anyway, they put out the cast photos because the season is about to start. So if you're a fan of the Traders, you'll have it back on your screen very, very soon.
Ewan McGregor
One
wants
Scotsman
more
to
Obi-Wan
another.
Kenobi movies and series. Come on, Disney. Yeah, like,
You gotta say like he would say it. Come on, Disney. Is that Ewan? I don't know. Maybe I said it.
I can't do a Scottish accent. I'm sorry.
Can't.
But yeah, I mean, as long as it's
Hello.
better than the fucking miniseries we got, like, yeah, sure. Like, go with the original fucking idea of what the trilogy, because they're like, the guy who wrote a trilogy, and after Solo failed, they're like, nope, we're not doing that. And then the first movie
I
got
would love
redone
to
into a
see it.
miniseries, and then
They should have made it
know,
a movie. Kept it a movie.
should have made it a movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to. Anyway, but yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that for the fans, at least, because I don't care about Star Wars anymore. But Ewan McGregor was always one of the best parts of the prequels anyway. So,
Take rebellion.
Audible's
Hit the like
exoplanet
button,
sci-fi
baby.
thriller from Project Hail Mary author Andy Weir stars Anthony Mackie, Ariana DeBose, and John Leguizamo. So that's cool.
So, remember we heard about like Andy Weir when Project Hail Mary was out was like, I'm working on this other secret project I can't talk about. We thought it was the We Are experience, but this is something, I think this was hinted at as well, that he's working on something he couldn't mention. So apparently Exoplanet is like this new, audiobook that you can get on Audible. And yeah, John Leguizamo, Anthony Mackie, and Aaron DeBose. Come on, that's a pretty stacked cast right there. So yeah, I'll take it. It's from Andy Weir, Exoplanet, as an audiobook. I have credits on my Audible account. I could probably get this. So yeah, can't wait.
Cool. Lincoln Lawyer spinoff starring Kobe Smulders in fast track development in Netflix, because that's what we all really want, is a Lincoln Lawyer spinoff.
I mean, dude, it's like anything, you know, when Kobe Smulders, it works, right? Like,
well,
Kobe
unless
Smulders
it's Secret
and
Invasion
Smulders,
after she gets
yeah.
killed after one episode, but that's beside the point.
Dude, like Secret Invasion, I just took that out of my mind yesterday. And
Secret Invasion exists, guys.
Right back in.
I'm not gonna make you forget it.
Oh my god, fuck you, man. Anyway, let's keep going.
Barry Diller, what a name, wants to buy CNN before they ruin it any further, hopefully before it's extinct. Damn.
Yeah, this has been going on for a while. So Barry Diller is like a big, I mean, he's a businessman. He's a media mogul of sorts. Like, he's been doing this for a long time. I forget, like, what is he really, I forget what he's exactly really known for, but he owns a number of other like big media enterprises, and he's somebody who's like, look, this is not the first time he said this, that he wants to buy out CNN. Now, I don't think CNN is for sale, but if it was, I mean, maybe Barry Diller could just put out an unsolicited offer, like, you know, David Ellison did for Warner Brothers, and eventually he can get his hands on it. So who knows? He wants to keep CNN independent, which, sure, I believe him, kind of, you know. Why not? He was a major inspiration for Mr. Burns in The Simpsons. You're right. Yeah.
Crunchyroll will be streamable in BMW and mini cars, with more to follow through Forvia partnership.
Forvia,
okay.
I think, is like an in-car advertising thing or something.
Okay, I don't fucking care.
I mean, hey, you want to watch anime while you're in a BMW or a Mini?
Want to watch the Bob Iger owned LA Lakers? Because that happened. Because the rich
dude, I
richer,
saw it
guys.
this morning. I mean, it was like, what, 5 fucking a.m. on the East Coast, and I was like, wait.
He's like, I'm gonna retire
fuck?
peacefully, just
like,
buying the fucking Lakers. So why not?
Like, Bob Iger, who's still, by the way, I think is I think he's on the board, or did he retire from the board? I think he's still
like a
involved in
consultant or something. I forget what the actual like job title is.
He's still like one of the biggest individual shareholders in Disney, so he's always gonna be a Disney person. But like, yeah, he just bought the LA Lakers alongside, I think, the brother to Ivanka Trump's husband. What's his name? Jared Kushner's brother. Jared, so basically, you know how Gianni Infantino got in trouble as the president of FIFA for trying to sell off a part of FIFA to private equity? That private equity firm was also led by the same brother of Jared Kushner, the other Kushner, I forgot his first name. That same Kushner now just, you know, got into this with Bob Iger, and the two of them alongside a consortium, John Kushner, there you go, thank you, Eric. They just bought the LA Lakers for a record-setting $12.5 billion, which I think this, by the way, I think destroyed the previous record that the Boston Celtics were sold for just last year. It was for like $6 billion. It just goes to show you, like, the Lakers are one of the most valuable. This resets the entire market for franchise valuations in all of Hollywood. Thank you again, Eric, for your clutch coming in the clutch. If the Lakers are worth 12.5 billion, John, I mean, the Cowboys must be worth like 18, right? 20 billion, like the Cowboys, the Patriots. It's like, those are the biggest, most valuable sports franchises in the world. So yeah, I mean, not really movie related, other than the fact that it's Bob Iger, you know, the guy who ran Disney for like 20 years. But yeah, the Lakers are now under new ownership. But you know the guy that he hired, then later fired, Bob Iger? Bob Chapek. He's set to release a memoir calling Behind the Castle Walls, which has got a fall release date. And I am very excited to see what kind of dirt we get in this, that he managed to get around whatever, you know, heavy ass NDA he signed on his way out of Disney. So
I want to see what like level of temper tantrum that he's gonna fucking have about like, oh, you know what I did. It's like, you almost ran Disney into the ground. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking loser.
Dude, and infamously, like, here's what happened, right? So he was at like a company event, and basically, this is the CEO of Disney, by the way. The way he got fired was that they had an emergency board meeting and they made the decision, and this guy, Bob Chapek, was at a Disney event. I forget, it was promoting something like Star Wars or whatever it was. and they locked him out of his offices, said you cannot re-enter the premises of Disney. And this is not like, you know, the guy who works in IT. This was the CEO of Disney who literally got like locked the fuck out of the building and said, we'll bring your stuff to you, you ain't walking back onto the studio backlot. Like, that's how much they like it was like, you know, like in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when
they throw the
Uncle
friend
Phil
out,
tosses out Jazz. That's what they did with Bob Chapek, and so I can't wait to see what he has to say in this book. Like, it's gonna be great. I'm sure he can't say everything out loud because of like million NDAs, but I mean, not that he wasn't deserving of being fired because of what he did, but
yeah,
still,
because it was like he almost AT&T Disney. Like, obviously Disney would have been
in record
fucking
time
fine, but like, you know, he definitely didn't. And it's funny because I have he's kind of a friend, not really, but who was like, oh, Bob Chapek was the reason why fucking all these movies like were good, and he did all the good stuff. And I'm like, are you fucking high, bro? Like, he's like, oh, he was the one that greenlit Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, no, he didn't. Fucking Ryan Reynolds pushed specifically Kevin Feige and Bob Iger to get the movie he wanted to make, which was the R rating. And so it's just like, and Bob Chapek was barely a part of that. So no, you're fucking wrong. And he almost like going full in on the streaming thing, and that fucking almost killed them. And like, I don't want to say he's the sole reason as to why phases 4 and 5 were as pretty much dog shit as they were, but now Marvel is actually, you know, starting to bounce back again. It's starting to like, because, you know, he tried to, I forget what it was, and feel free to tell me. It
was
like, didn't he remove Kevin Feige out of technically his role? But like,
basically,
what was it?
He brought in one of his banker friends and made him like the guy in charge of like deciding what every Disney's movie and TV studio, like what they made and where it went. So basically Kevin Feige didn't have the same level of autonomy and oversight over all the Marvel projects, and then they were like, we're just gonna like pump as much shit as we can out for Disney Plus so that we can, you know, just over index and it just became a problem of there was a lot of quantity but there wasn't a lot of quality. And we saw that with Pixar. They started releasing Pixar movies even when the pandemic was over. They put a couple of Pixar movies, you know, direct to Disney Plus, which obviously hurt the Pixar brand, and still I think Pixar is recovering from it. You know, the more quantity thing, we ended up getting like a stupid Lightyear movie that I don't think Pixar would have put out because it looked like it was so half-assed. So there was like a Pixar, Star Wars, you know, Star Wars was already in the shitter.
I'm not gonna act like
Marvel as well. So
he was like the worst thing since cancer, but like there are people that are like fans of his, like, oh, it would have been so much better if Bob Chapek was fucking still in charge. And I'm like, are you fucking high? Like, what are you talking about?
I worked at Disney. Look, here's the thing. I worked at Disney in the previous, not the most recent Bob Iger iteration. I worked at Disney in the previous, well, before he retired the first time or the second time. And I knew people. I knew a lot of what was going on inside Disney and the reorganization, a lot of people getting let go, and just the corporatization, a lot of middle management and bureaucracy that Bob Chapek brought in. He was a theme parks guy, which is also Josh D'Amaro was a theme parks guy as well. So I do worry a little bit, but I have a feeling that, you know, Bob Iger didn't make the same mistake twice, because Josh D'Amaro is also doubling down on streaming, but not in the same way that Bob Chapek did. So yeah, let's see where things go. Usually you want to give everybody a few years to kind of settle in and like really see what their decisions, you know, what kind of impact they have. Because like the decision they're making now will have an impact that's we're going to notice in 2-3 years time. So like Bob Chapek also came in at the height of the pandemic. So you got to cut him a little bit of slack, but then shit just went downhill and it just never recovered. I mean, yeah, they literally kicked him out like Uncle Phil kicked out Jazz from, you know, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like the mansion. That's how they did it. So I can't wait to see what his memoir has to say about all that. But yeah, anyway, that's it for the news portion of the show. If you guys are sticking around, please hit the like button. We appreciate it. It definitely helps us out. Hype the videos, you know, like that gets us, you know, more into the algorithms and brings us to more eyeballs, and we grow the community. And on that lovely note, let's grow the community a little bit more so I can stop saying the word community in that particular way. Let's get blessed. Let's talk about how
Disney or DC is not
DC's
so
not even
blessed.
blessed. It's not so blessed.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto. Hunka hunka!
Oh no.
I will
Okay.
destroy DC.
Welcome
I
on
will
into another
destroy
episode.
everything.
Welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily. Yeah, we're gonna have fun. I'm sure.
I don't know about fun, but you know.
Well, we will rant. We will have fun. We will.
Well, you'll
fun.
rant. I'll
Yeah.
throw up the rant alert for you, but I'm just
Anyway, John.
like I said this at the top of the show before you came on. I was just like I equated being a DC fan to being a Mets fan. Like it's just it's truly
or a Jets
like
fan. Yeah.
I'm not a
fan.
Jets fan. I'm a
Yeah, me neither.
but
Yeah.
being a Mets fan is just like we're just used to fucking disappointment at this point. Sure, we get
Thank you
like
for
bright
super
spots
chat.
of like, oh hey, they know what they're doing, and then it's just like, oh no, this is where it's at. And it's like there was like some hope, like James Gunn coming in, fucking Steve Cohen buying the Mets from the fucking shitty ass Wilpons. We're finally gonna get. Oh no, it's just back to our regularly scheduled programming of both being garbage. So and I said this, I like the Mets sold their souls to win Game 6 back in 1986. WB sold their souls to make The Dark Knight a massive success, and they haven't really even hit that success since, maybe with the exception of Aquaman and maybe a couple things here and there, but it seems like we're not going to get there ever again. So just honestly, just quit everything and just stick to comics, I guess, because we're not going to get good stuff anymore. Just end it all. Like you literally cast like the most perfect people for these characters and you can't even do anything right. So yay, right?
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
Thank you for the super chat, just some geeky guy. For every $5 super chat, I will play that thing 5 times for you if you want me to. But anyway, let's get into the quickest, John. We gotta get to the quickest before we get to all the lanterns and the future of DC TV, which is not looking bright. But let's start with the positive story. It was the 44th birthday of Sebastian Stan. Still is on the West Coast. Happy birthday, Sebastian Stan. We could have done this in MCU Daily, but we've sort of accepted him in the family of DC.
And plus, it's
already,
Batman Saga News posting it, so we gotta,
there you go.
Who the hell's
Happy
Bucky?
birthday.
Because
We are
we
stands
have
for Sebastian
Zaz
Stan.
or Harvey Dent or whoever the fuck he's gonna play.
Yeah. Oh, did you miss another super chat? Oh yeah, there's another one. Yeah, if Madam.
No, I think we
Whatever
showed
the
that.
odds
I think
become
we
your
showed
favor.
that.
That's
Whatever.
right. The favor comes to you.
Anyway,
Thank you.
no, he's not
Yeah.
a snack. He's the fucking whole meal, bro. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
He's the
Oh, yeah.
entree. He is the entree.
Ooh. Jalen can't even laugh anymore. Okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
like here's the thing. I just set myself up for disappointment because then I will either be proven right or I will be pleasantly surprised. Look at what happened with Supergirl. I set myself up for disappointment. I read one of the worst comics I've ever read, and you know what? I was pleasantly surprised that the movie was kind of decent. And I set myself up for disappointment with Cape Crusader because the first season was ass, and I didn't think it would be good. And look how that turned out. So, hopefully my excitement for Clayface won't shoot me in the foot. And we will actually be getting something good with that, but we'll have to wait and see. So
Yeah.
I forget what the I said this at the top of the show. I forget what the Deadpool quote was, but like, life is a series of commercial breaks and back to our regularly scheduled programming, and then he passes out because he has cancer. But
Yeah. Sebastian Stan is a Zach. Okay, yeah, that would be interesting. So if Lanterns is a good show, might Tom King get out
Tom
of the gutter
King will
here?
never get out of the gutter. Like I'm just it is okay. I'm just gonna say this right now, like serious note. It is majorly thundering outside, so if I cut out,
Okay.
that's the reason why. Just warning you guys now. There was just a huge crack of thunder. So I did want to say, like, if it is a good show, I'm glad, because the thing is, I want DC to have a win. I hate Tom King with every fiber of my being, yes, but if he like fucking delivers a good show, then great. Like, I will still hate the man and his terrible comics, but it's like, okay, cool, you shoveled them out of the gutter that Supergirl put them in. It's not going to be the best thing because it is a show, and that's a different level of success than a movie. And it's just like, okay, maybe there's just the most Lanterns will do. If Lanterns is a fucking great show, and we're talking season 1 True Detective levels of good, then the most it can do is like, we're gonna get some goodwill and good ratings numbers. Like, that's the most that we're gonna get from that show. Not like saying that's a bad thing, that's a very good thing, but it's just like a TV show is just, it's not a movie. Movie is where most of the stuff is coming from, where the you have the money and all like that huge goodwill, because it's just like Superman was huge, and that carried us over to 2026, because Peacemaker season 2, oh yeah, you had some people hate it, but like it didn't, like, that wasn't detrimental or anything. Meanwhile, Supergirl was a big flop and not a lot of people liked it, so that showed like, oh my god, in trouble, blah blah. So like, Lanterns, yeah, the most it could do is bring some goodwill back to DC, but the real test is a mixture of Clayface and Man of Tomorrow, because Man of Tomorrow is the next big fucking movie. Clayface is just like kind of like a side dish. Like, you'll bring in the horror fans for that, but like, Man of Tomorrow is like really the big testament. So
what's unfortunate is Clayface should have been just like a cherry on top. It's unfortunately got a lot of writing on it. It's kind of like the Blue Beetle of 2026. Remember, Blue Beetle ended up being like, this year's the last hope for DC in 2023, even though Blue Beetle was just like the overperforming movie that was once upon a time a streaming film.
If God's son is Zack Snyder, then I will today become a devil worshiper.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, let's just keep going. We have quick hits, John. We're getting sidetracked.
We gotta be quick. Speaking of, this person is attending the Lanterns press conference tomorrow. Got a question for the cast and creators.
We'll see if there's anything to come out of it. I don't know if there's going to be anything significant. It just looks like a press event, and I'm sure we'll have quotes to talk about. But yeah, it's all about promoting the movie. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Next up, apparently Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner joins the cast of Mr. Miracle. Speaking of Tom King. And man, your boy is just fucking killing. I love this fucking appreciation for Guy Gardner. The man barely gets anything, and here we are. He's showing up in Superman, in Peacemaker, in like pretty much almost every project. Like, it's
dude,
fucking
we have
great,
go to the next one. We have the graphic.
Yeah, the list.
He's literally gonna be. I think he's gonna be in every single. Like, if you click the photo.
The only thing that he hasn't been in is Supergirl and Creature Commandos. That's literally it.
Yeah, that's true.
And Clayface.
That's true. I mean, it's not too late for Creature Commandos. There's going to be a season 2, so you never know.
Well, I meant Creature Commandos season 1, but yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's time yet. But I also, in this article, John, I wanted to kind of talk about. I don't know if you missed this, but if you scroll down, the Nexus Point News put out character breakdowns for like a bunch of the characters that are going to show up in Mr. Miracle, and I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. This is from Tom King him fucking self. Like, he's the showrunner of the show. He's writing the entire show. I don't know if he's directing episodes, but I think he's just mainly writing it. But he said, we brought Nathan into the Mr. Miracle show, and doing that, it's just so wonderful. And then he kind of goes on about it. However, as Dan was just saying, these are the, breakdowns of Darkseid, the physical manifestation of all evil in the universe. He speaks in a silly, over-the-top manner, which is balanced with his calm but confident demeanor. Not great, but we'll see how it goes. Funky Flashman will also feature and reportedly serves as a narrator in certain scenes, and his Stan Lee inspiration is very prevalent in this adaptation of the character. Described as a snake oil salesman, he's very articulate with his words and knows how to sell a product. Light Ray is said to be very loyal to Highfather and Orion. He considers himself superior to Scott and Barda and sees himself as too good for the missions assigned to him by Highfather. Highfather is the all-knowing leader of New Genesis who has trouble connecting with the other new gods due to his status and power, especially Scott, who has resented him since childhood for his decision to give him up to Darkseid, obviously. Finally, Orion, the son of Darkseid, is said to carry his father's anger, sins, and ambition, but has repressed it since childhood. Since being raised by Highfather, Orion will serve as a mentor to Scott in the series. There's no mention of Granny Goodness, but we should be very surprised if she didn't put in an appearance at some point, and then as well as showcasing other characters. So,
yeah, I mean, the Darkseid character feels like, I mean, they're gonna probably caricaturize it a little bit, but like maybe when we get him in live action, you're gonna get a more fleshed out version of the character. Hello, Hunter Iggy. I don't think this is Justice League International, but they will introduce Darkseid. They already have.
I mean, Tom King said they have someone for the role, so to voice him.
I like what he's saying about like I actually the second half of what he said, Tom King, about bringing in Nathan Fillion, like he brings that energy to every aspect of the show. When you think it would be totally different from Lanterns, and it blends because that's who Guy is. He's that guy who's over the top. So we all know that guy's who's a little bit like that.
I will say, considering
I understand.
I didn't love the Mr. Miracle maxi series. I thought it's probably, in terms of the stuff I have read in terms of Tom King's run at DC, it's the best thing. It's like a solid like 5, maybe 6 out of 10. It's still not great, but like I'm more, I wouldn't say excited for this, but I'm more curious about this than something like Lanterns, because it feels like with the character descriptions, well, one, I'm not as prevalent with the New Gods as I am with the Green Lantern Corps, but there's also, like, from what little I know of New Gods, it feels like there is more. Jesus, it is fucking pouring out. Oh my God. Anyway, you might be able to fucking hear it. Holy shit. But there's more consistency, although from a friend of mine who knows New Gods more than I do, he did say the maxi series did like character assassinate Orion, and from what it's described here, I can kind of see why that is from what little I know of Orion, but obviously we'll see. But I'm more curious about this than Lanterns, because Lanterns, I don't like the vibe. It feels like Hal Jordan doesn't feel like Hal Jordan, and I just don't like what they're doing with it. But this, I'm not excited, but I'm curious.
I mean, Tom King is part of the team that's producing Lanterns, so I'm sure like bringing Guy Gardner in here also like was just a natural transition. Like,
I don't believe in Tom King. I'm curious about this, and that's it. I'm curious. Curiosity, and remember, guys, curiosity killed the cat. So let's hope curiosity doesn't kill the John. So.
When you discover great power, curiosity will come.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
By the way, a maxi series it's essentially a mini series, just kind of bigger. Like, because so some things are called mini series. I think Watchmen is technically a maxi series where it's just it's like a bigger story than like a mini series. I think I'm sure like someone can have like the proper descriptions, but I believe that's what it is. So, if you're excited about Enterprising, that's cool. Like I'm excited. Like, and as we were talking about before, I hope it's a success, because like I want some good things to happen to DC after Supergirl bombed. So, yes, of course.
By the way,
I don't have friends. I got family.
Yeah, it's also a HBO Max series. But
no, that's not what a maxi. It's spelled MAXI, not MAXXI. Different.
Right. But to answer your question, Jalen, we don't have a set release date for this, but it's highly likely that we will get this in 2027. We just don't know yet for sure. So when we find out, we will let you guys know. But yeah, Mr. Miracle potentially coming out next year. More quick hits, John. Let's keep going, shall we?
Yeah. More Guy Gardner news. is that
I think Liz
feel
would
like
love
I
this.
remember this. I feel like
Do
I
you?
remember this. Like
I think Liz
they
would love
released
this
the
news.
Wheaties box or something.
Yeah,
And I will
like
say
Guy
it
Gardner
looks like
made it onto
shit.
the cereal. Like
It looks like shit because it
literally the
doesn't
same
look like a
design.
normal Wheaties like photo shoot.
It's
It looks like it looks so bad, but in the best possible
was this
way.
wait, dude? Was this did Liz get this? Like, no, I'm thinking of like she got the Thunderbolts one, right? The new
No,
Avengers.
there was a Thunderbolt.
But
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Also,
Yeah,
there's
that's
just
what
a
I'm thinking. She
random
got-
like
yeah.
naked woman there with the post-it note covering her
I mean,
boobs, so,
hey,
like,
that's totally something
interesting.
that James Gunn would do.
Also, it looks like they have like it looks like he's also shocking like an energy drink, Electro Punch. Hold on, let me zoom. Let's zoom into this. Whoa,
And we
I think
got
I
you,
zoomed in a
Enterprising.
little bit too much. There it is.
Wait, what?
Electro
No, wait, go back,
Punch.
John. Go back. What did you zoom in on? Electro
Electro Punch, and then we have the Wheaties box, and then there's something down here. You could see like, oh, that's like the rack where the fucking Electro
get
Punch
it,
is. So
yeah.
that's really funny.
Go right. Go to the right. No, you're not.
No,
yeah,
shut the
yeah.
fuck up, Dan. Stop being horny. But
You went there first.
but and then you can kind of see, and then you see like other evidence, like you see a sheriff, you see somebody there. So,
But I mean, hey, it's like, hey, Guy Gardner made it onto the serial, but he's on the Wheaties box, like he's doing his Avengers thing, even though it's a different cinematic universe. But I love it. Love to see it. Love to see it. Guy Gardner. That's a great photo. I mean, why not? Why not?
But yeah, and then Batman Part 2 crew is prepping Glasgow Kingston Bridge for filming. Cameras reportedly roll August 18th with North Street and Newton Street closed through August 31st via
2 weeks,
Glasgow
baby. We're gonna
Times.
get so many photos. I mean, apparently they're gonna be shooting a chase sequence with the Batmobile, right? We've already talked about they've got a Batmobile on site. They've got a bunch of other stunt vehicles. So yeah, it's gonna be on the bridge. It's gonna be under the bridge. It's gonna be around the bridge. I mean, we have seen like they've used these similar locales in the first movie. So yeah, we're gonna have set photos of a Bat car chase. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. The payoff is gonna be so sweet when DCU Batman knocks out Guy Gardner like in the comics. Well, I know Gunn is probably gonna do it if we eventually ever get the DCU Batman movie, but hopefully we will one day, or the next day, or the next day. Or the next day. But until then, John, we're talking about Man of Tomorrow. Speaking of the next day, let's talk about the Man of the next day.
And the next day.
Yeah.
79th day of shooting.
This is
Production
from a few
began
days
April
ago, but
20th
still counts.
in Atlanta. And this is where it is. Very nice. Day 79.
Day 79. This was
And
from
we
a
see
few days ago
circus
now.
or like a theme park
So-
in the background, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I assume now they're on to like day 81 because this was from like Monday or Tuesday.
No, this
but
was from 2 days ago. So technically, it hasn't
No.
started yet, but day 81
Right.
is going to
Yeah,
start.
exactly. Because I think they put this out a day after James Gunn had it on his story, so I think it is originally from Monday. But anyway, the point is, that they're back filming. James Gunn probably took a little bit of time off for his birthday.
Interesting.
That might tie
Anyway.
into some stuff we're gonna get into later, John. Let's talk about some of the set photos and footage we have potentially for Man of Tomorrow, because
Well,
they are
a set photo
filming
appears,
this.
they're teasing Brainiac.
Yeah.
With this. Let's zoom
Yeah.
into
What's on
this.
your mind? What's on your mind, John? Neurons. Remember when James Gunn literally used that photo to tease Brainiac before we knew Brainiac was in the movie?
But yeah, we have
so,
the
yeah.
Metropolis Science
Brainwaves.
Explorarium. I don't think that's a word, James. But we have pathwaves and brainwaves. What's on your mind? Obviously, this doesn't really show anything. It's just a advertisement as the
the bulge. Thank you for that, John. Thank you.
let's zoom into this.
No, we don't have to do it. It's fine.
There it is, and we get some ass there too. So that's
Thank
there we
you.
go. Perfect.
Thank you. Zoom into this right there. There's the shot. Right there.
There's the shot
really?
right there. Now I'll zoom into this. That
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
bulge, but
I'm just like, I don't know. Do we need that? Like, because it's sort of like, what function does it serve other than to highlight the fact that Superman's got some padding there potentially to make this
I mean,
movie a little.
I hate to break it to you, but every man on planet Earth has a dick and balls. Like, I don't know how you're supposed to hide that. Like, obviously, like in camera, they're gonna probably do some like cropping out. They're gonna like smooth it down a little bit so we don't see David Corenswet's schwanz in our fucking faces all the time. But I'm sorry, it's just like it's like a woman who has really big breasts, and it's like she's like, I can't put them anywhere. What do you want me to do? So it's like it makes sense. Like if it's like he has a big package. Like I don't know what to really say about that. I don't know why you were so like harping on that. Like it just
I thought it was funny because I was like in the moment everybody was talking about like he's got pants on, you can see his like dick hanging out. Like I don't know, it was just
his dick wasn't out. You like kind of see something.
Well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Anyway, okay, all right. We're just adding to this like at this point, but it didn't erase it like Namor and Black Panther.
Namor, right. You spelled it wrong, buddy.
Namor, whatever. Namor, whatever. But to answer your question from earlier, Jalen, usually a movie of this scale shoots for like 4 to 6 months, usually 4 to 5 months. So day 79, if you were to count it in the number of days, I would say they still probably are, they're past the halfway mark, but they still have a good amount of days to go.
Because if you remember, we remembered it because for the 2024, they started on the leap day, February 29th, because that was apparently Clark Kent's birthday. So they started on that, and then they ended not on the last day of July, but like the day, like I remember it was the day before Fantastic Four started shooting,
started production,
which was hilarious. But with that,
that was a boom. You're looking for this moment.
So like March, April, May, June, most of July. So that was about 5 months. And they started filming. We just had it.
Well, 79 days, John. So
they started April 20th. So it's been May, June, July.
Also,
we're going
remember,
on almost in a week. It's going to be 4 months. So
right. Also, remember the 79 days don't equate to the actual time because they don't shoot 7 days in a row.
Right. Of course, so, yes. Like obviously they need weekends a fucking break. Yeah.
Well, right, because for company moves and stuff, like basically with they're gonna move to different sets and like even in
move to different cities.
We're going days to Cincinnati. And weeks that they have taken off. Right. Exactly. On to Cincinnati. We're moving on to Cincinnati. I don't know if they're gonna move.
Well, now we're going on to the next link because we get
moving on
a new look at Man of Tomorrow's set.
Yeah. So they built this over the last couple of days. I think this is in Georgia. So they put up like these blue walls. It's meant to be like a park, a set of a park like in the middle of I'm assuming it's going to be probably a stand-in for Metropolis. So this was them building it. And John, I think we have a couple of photos for this, and then we do have some video because they were filming today. And so I don't know if you have that clip, but yeah, if you're able to kind of zoom into this and go full screen, we don't need the audio, but like we could just kind of watch this. So basically you can see there's somebody playing like a guitar, like in the city square, let's say you got like a family walking around, and then everybody like all of a sudden they say action, and then everybody starts noticing something's going on in the air behind them. You can see that all the extras turn around and look behind them in the air. So whatever they're going to replace the background with, that digital, set extension, that's going to be, I don't know if that's meant to be like the city center, a theme park, like that somebody suggested in the previous comment, where maybe Maxima will be involved, or like
maybe
this is going to be
maybe it's Brainiac.
like
they see Brainiac's ship for the first time.
Yeah. So this is clearly, we have seen stuff like this in the first Superman movie where they shot a lot of it in Cleveland. So a lot of crowd reactions. Again, this gives the movie scale. It also puts things in context. I think the movies that don't show you normal people in it reacting to superheroes doing superhero things are movies that are harder to ground in a sense of like, oh my god, these are gods and monsters, right? So James Gunn knows how to showcase that, and I think he's done it with the first movie, Superman movie, and he's doing it with this one as well.
Yeah, it's Batman, played by Alan Ritchson.
Unfortunately, we don't have any more substantive set photos today because we don't have any of the actors out there, but this is still good. I mean, again, remember this when the movie comes out, and you might be able to point out exactly what part of the movie this is for. So yeah, this is good stuff. I like it. I like the look of it. And hopefully this
No,
means
Jalen's upset that he just doesn't get pics of Millie Alcock. That's why he's upset. So
wait, hold
what are you
on. Let
gonna
me
do?
see if I can help you with that, Caleb.
Oh God, we don't need
No?
that. Let's move on to lanterns. Let's please. I can't believe I'm saying that, but let's please move on to lanterns. Because yeah, sure, we might not get Millie Alcock, but we do get no, please.
There you go.
Okay.
Right
All right.
there. Okay,
Anyway.
all right, okay, let's move on.
Anyway,
Let's move on from
before you
Remus.
fucking like crash your computer again with all these fucking things
Oh,
in the
calm
background.
down.
You can delete
Alright.
half of these fucking things.
I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it right now. All right,
well,
let's go.
every
Let's keep
time you
going.
put too much shit in the backstage,
It's
you
okay,
fucking
fine.
crash.
God.
A new character
God,
poster
like-
for Jon Stewart. There he is. Very nice. Look at those
Yeah.
eyes. Those nice green hazel eyes. So
Yeah. Why'd you say that name? Sorry.
terrible poster, but I'm so excited about this show. Damn, bro. This guy's yawning. He's like, I'm a sloth. I'm gonna go to sleep now.
But so they released character posters. They also released character trailers, or like I don't know if you want to call it that. So like we got one for Jon Stewart, which again focusing more on his backstory and everything. We've seen one scene that they released with Jon Stewart, so that we talked about the other day. Clearly, he's got a military background, and that informs a lot of how he approaches this stuff. The explosions look very CGI, but that's fine. Yeah. I wish I was that handsome too, Swag fan. I wish I was
Same.
Samesies.
And he also
We
has the
all wanna be-
BBC. So laying it
I was
down
watching
with
a bunch of- I was- I was
Pornoganathon. So there's that too.
I was watching a bunch of Top Gear today, so yeah, I do love me some BBC. But anyway, let's keep going, John.
But we also have a promotional character poster for Hal Jordan.
Yeah. He's smoldering. Is
so,
that the word to describe that?
Yeah,
expression?
and I like how they're like Earth's
Yeah.
first Green Lantern, and
Green Lantern,
this actually nerd over here is like, he wasn't.
actually.
Alan Scott was the first in 1940, which, by the way, fun fact, was co-created by Bill Finger. So created two iconic
True.
heroes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he created
When you
many,
beware
but
my
the
power,
two biggest were
John.
Batman and Green Lantern. So
My light will come.
and nobody
when
cares.
you take on
Hal
the
dies first
responsibility,
episode.
great power will come.
Eat more salads and whey protein.
Nah, I'm good. I like my Twix bits too much.
Nerd. Anyway, let's keep going. We do
need that
have
clip of Homer Simpson being like, yeah. We need that every time I do an
Yes.
actually, because I should not do that as
Actually.
much.
Where's my lunch money, nerd? Anyway, we do have a
And then
character
Earth's
trailer.
first Green Lantern in the context of this continuity, yes, goes to show that those leaks that Alan Scott was the person they were investigating the murder of were not true. But
true.
we could still go into it because I'm curious
Yeah.
like how different they are after the first 3 episodes.
I think
So-
maybe we could do that next week, like maybe like on Tuesday's show after we already reviewed the show. Yeah, we could. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. That'd be fun. Yeah, again, the marketing for the show has not given away any more than what we've already learned the last little while, but sure, why not? More footage, not a lot of new footage, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. So, boom, you're looking for this anyway. But
That
yeah.
was a cool shot.
There's the shot right there. But Lanterns poster spotlight Hal Jordan as review embargo and possible spoilers land. Do we want to put up the spoiler banner, or do you just want to
why
get
not?
into
Let's
it?
do it.
Okay,
do it.
so
Yeah, put it
if
up.
you
Yeah.
if you fucking care about this shit, I don't know if you do, but we'll zoom into this. But apparently, the posters have been revealed. So we're going to get into potential spoilers at this point. So scroll down to those posters now if you don't want to see them. Still here. Well, according to Scooper, My Time to Shine, grain of salt. John wears the ring, but doesn't use it much in Lanterns episode 1. Yeah. There's a big twist at the end of the episode, but I guess that's already leaked. Laura Linney is a shape-shifting guardian. Yes, they did. I think Chris Mundy himself confirmed that she was a guardian. So, The big twist that's likely a reference to last month leaks, which claim that Hal dies in the pilot, but that started as an apparent fan theory, but was seemingly confirmed as legitimate when Warner Brothers Discovery started hitting X accounts with copyright strikes. Only time will tell whether these rumors are correct, but it's not long until we find out on Sunday. There's also a behind-the-scenes photo floating around that confirms Jon Stewart finally suits up in episode 5 of Lanterns. So this is from Superman Saga News. Then Birthday Boy does as he's told. He opens the box and pulls out a handmade adult-sized Green Lantern costume, the canonical Jon Stewart suit. So it looks like they're still going with the idea that the suits are not constructs, they are actual physical. So, that's a very, very Silver Age thing, because I know everyone's like, oh my god, they're supposed to be constructs, which they are in modern context. But people went back, oh, well, in the Silver Age, it was an actual physical outfit that Hal Jordan wore. But to me, it makes way more fucking sense that they're constructs, because then you can just, use the ring, make a suit, boom, you're out of there. Because Flash makes sense that he has a physical suit because he has super suit, so he can get that on. Same with Superman, same with Wonder Woman. Batman, he has to get in front of the mirror, paint his eyes, and all that shit. But that's different. So
something's on the way, John. That's why. Yeah, by the fifth
for
episode,
a second,
apparently,
when they're like, then
up,
Birthday Boy does what he's told. I'm like, they're really introducing the Batman villain Birthday Boy, and then it's like, oh no, that's not what it is. Okay, but yeah, so interesting. This is kind of like a Pinterest board of the vibe of the characters that they're going for here. This isn't from the show. It's you got Hal Jordan. Obviously, you have Kyle Chandler and in other stuff. You have bits and pieces here and there. You have that looks like Anthony Bourdain right there, which that's an interesting vibe. You have Chuck Yeager right there, and then some other guys, and then of course stuff from the comics. Even that fan art that we showcased of Kyle Chandler in the suit, they even have that. Right there, and then
they should also have Cade Yeager in there from the.
You have
Mark Wahlberg
Mahershala Ali from True Detective, by the way. I think he was in season 4, season 3, season 4. I forget what season he was in, but he was in the show.
4, yeah.
But yeah, and then obviously some stuff down here his first appearance and some more fan art and stuff like that. So yeah, so these are kind of inspiration boards for what they wanted for the vibe of both characters, which is something that's done a lot in stuff like this. But yeah, that's kind of cool, I guess.
I like it.
But yeah, these are
like the look of it. Yeah, I'm gonna be using that on the thumbnail. That poster. Yeah, Pinterest does suck now. So much AI slop. Did you read that? I'm sorry, I was kind of frozen for a second. Did you do the embargo date? Because we do know what the
embargo date is Friday, August 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So basically on Friday night show, we will talk about what the critics are saying about it in a non-spoilery fashion. And then on Monday, we will review the first episode of the show. And then every Monday until the show finishes up as for a season, we'll review it. So just keep an eye out for those reviews. But yes, this Friday after noon Eastern Time, we will be able to then on the evening show talk about what the critics are saying, what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that sounds awesome, John. There are a couple other things. Apparently the prop master took note of all the internet snooping about the ring. Jeffrey Johnson called fans' level of scrutiny over Hal's ring fascinating, saying somebody did a 20-minute YouTube video zooming in on this ring. That sounds like something that we would do, John.
Yep. Now we'll zoom into this. I mean, we did a 20-minute rant on fucking David Cornsweat's fucking penis in a goddamn superhero outfit. So, yeah, we've also talked at length about Millie Alcock's boobs. So, nothing gets past us. And so here we are. Yeah, that would be a nice Rotten Tomato score. But yeah.
Yeah, 87.
I still hate the look of the lantern. It looks so here's the thing. If that was Alan Scott's lantern, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that looks cool. But the fact that oh yeah, alien device bull fucking shit, that looks like something I can make in I can go to a Michael's and fucking grab some craft supplies and make that shit. Nothing against the prop master. He's only just doing what he's told. But bro, come on. What are we doing here?
What are we
Nothing
doing
against Jeffrey
anyway?
Johnson. Like, I'm sure he did a great job. He's a great
Yeah.
prop guy, but he's just doing what he's told. He's just following orders.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I
because
look,
Tom King thought this fucking sack of
I'm
shit
okay
was a
with the
fucking good
design.
idea.
I'm okay with the ring design. I'm willing to give it a chance. It works for me right now. But you know what, John? We do already have, because basically they put out all the press assets for Lanterns this week as the show is coming out. So you could go onto WB's press site and get all these images. So we have a bunch of photos from not just the behind the scenes of making the show, but also from episode 1 of the show. So let's kind of dive into that now. So we have all these photos. Apparently that interrogation scene is going to be from episode 1. You can see that here. We have stills from the premiere episode. They're just calling it pilot because of course they are.
I mean, he is a pilot, there. So it makes sense.
He is. Yeah, I pilot. I fly. I'm pilot. But it's my work. Yeah, prop guy. Garrett Delahunt. We're gonna see him, of course, in episode 1. These are some behind the scenes photos that the New York Times put out. So again, looking very, very slick there, Jon Stewart. And then of course we do have Guy Gardner showing up, which it does look like he's going to be in the 2026 timeline, but very much dressed like the Guy Gardner that we know. Then this is also back to the same 2016 investigation where they were investigating what is an as yet unknown villain. Of course, we have the Wheaties box image that we looked at with Guy Gardner. Then you have another behind the scenes. I like to look at this stuff. I mean, again, they're shooting, in real locations, and like the lighting, the natural lighting as natural as it can be, looks pretty good. Yeah, I like the look of the show. It feels very HBO True Detective-y. Whether that turns out to be a good thing or a bad thing, I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. John, any of these images stand out to you?
No.
Like, because to me, the one thing that I notice here is like this interrogation does get out of hand, right? We have seen it in the trailers and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Hal pulls out a ring, so maybe this guy he's interrogating is more than just a regular civilian.
Yeah, they've. I believe it was that was one of the things people talked about. Like, oh, he's a manhunter, or an alien that's like who's like he's asking him like pop culture questions of like, oh hey, you know who Barack Obama is? Do you know Harry Potter?
Yeah.
And he just has no fucking clue because he's an alien. So and then he starts beating the shit out of him. Damn, that's a well manicured beard. God damn, the people at hair and makeup are doing wonders with that beard. Holy shit.
I need to do that with my beard. I've not.
Oh, you have a perfect beard. Shut the fuck up, Dan.
I haven't worked on this in 2 weeks. I can clean this up. But anyway.
No, you can. It's just like you still look good. Shut the fuck up. You got a good beard.
Well, thank you.
Mine's scraggly right now. I apologize. I didn't. I didn't
black.
Comb it properly today.
I think you're not giving yourself enough credit. But I will say this: Manhunter sounds like a great erotic thriller Olivia Wilde would direct. Don't you think? Like Olivia Wilde.
Was it? What?
As Manhunter, like that could be like an Olivia Wilde movie. I can imagine. This random intrusive thought in my head.
Olivia I think you're thinking of Man-Eater, but sure.
No, well, anyway, no. I was thinking of Manhunter because they have Manhunters anyway. Brain to mouth filter definitely did not kick in there. So yeah. On that note,
that's what are you gonna do?
That's all the Lanterns hype we got for you today. The summer of Lanterns has begun, everybody, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk about as the week goes on. She's a Manhunter. Yeah, see, there you go. Enterprising's catching on. I wonder what John would look like without the beard.
Yeah, you don't have to wonder.
We have proof of that.
I have pictures.
Proof. Yeah, there are photos. They do exist. But we also have a report that exists about the future of DC TV. I'm gonna like get into this. So I just want to kind of like lay out how we're gonna go through this. Right? It's not a terribly long report, but it's a very detailed report.
I don't think it's that bad either. It's just like I don't think it's the worst thing ever. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, like I think there's good, bad, and the ugly to it all, and we'll talk about it. So what I want to do is kind of like what we did when the Supergirl thing came out about like the 2 cuts and all the studio interference and like what they ended up doing with the screen tests and whatnot, or like the test screenings. I want to read the article. We'll kind of stop and talk about things. And as they mention specific projects, John, we have like, things that we can kind of like point to with like, so, what I highlighted as visuals in the rundown. So you can kind of pop those up as we go through specific shows. Because this article in the Ankler really, Ankler it's a behind a paywall. Like, I subscribe to the paywall. So, but like in general, I think if you want to get a full version of this article, you have to pay for the Ankler. But they did a big report, Leslie Goldberg, and they talked about the future of DC TV, which let's just say is a mixed bag right now. And especially when it comes down to like that announcement, that slate announcement James Gunn made in 2023 versus what we are getting and what we may get as of yet, or what is, no longer happening. There's a lot in this article, and they actually also, I think they have quotes in here from Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim, or at least Mark Guggenheim, who worked on, like, for example, a previous iteration of the Lantern show, which never got made.
Yeah,
and
and I mean,
predated James Gunn, Peter
he,
Safran.
Greg Berlanti,
So
and Michael Green were the ones who wrote the 2011 Green Lantern movie. So
exactly, and I mean, and we'll talk about that. It's in this article. So, well, the Ankler is like it's on Substack, and you can subscribe to them there. So if you're looking for the Ankler, you can subscribe to them through Substack, and then they have multiple writers. It's kind of like the Athletic, if you want to think of it that way, except the Athletic is owned by New York Times. Ankler is independent, and they're available on Substack. So let me dive into this. And again, I'll stop and we'll talk about things, and then we'll keep going because there's a lot of information in here, and I want to make sure I cover all of it. So DC's TV trouble. Lanterns arrives, 2 big shows die. Inside the new HBO series is Tortured Path and the high stakes for Warner's, plus my scoops on other developments. So that's the other shows we'll talk about beyond just Lanterns. Now, it's a great article. I'll give Leslie her due. I think she does a lot of good research. The Ankler is, if you haven't subscribed, not that they're sponsoring this or anything, but there's a lot of good coverage on there. So I would recommend checking them out. So here we go. When Lanterns premieres Sunday on HBO, it will cap a nearly 7-year journey to the screen that has included at least 4 takes, 2 creative teams, and more executive changes than Green Lantern himself could navigate. The series' debut is a milestone for James Gunn and Peter Safran's stewardship of the DC Universe, which has been on a roller coaster at the cinema, with 2025 Superman high and this summer's Supergirl low. The IP is amongst the most consequential assets at stake in Paramount Skydance's planned $111 billion merger with Warner Brothers Discovery. Gunn and Safran laid out the big TV plans in 2023 when they stepped up as DC Studios chiefs, announcing multiple series, including several around characters that had never been on screen. Lantern, starring Kyle Chandler of Friday Night Lights fame, and Aaron Pierre of DC's Krypton, he was in a previous DC show, is the first live-action scripted series to be developed under the pair, who themselves created DC's other HBO Max entry, Peacemaker. So yeah, let's keep going. Now, they say in the article, Lanterns hails from showrunner Chris Mundy, Damon Lindelof, who's an executive producer, and Tom King, who is also an executive producer. They were, of course, brought in May 2024 to lead development of a more grounded, true detective-style version of the Green Lantern story. And Lanterns was one of the first projects Gunn and Safran announced in January 2023 as they outlined their vision for DC, essentially replacing the long gestating version of Green Lantern that Greg Berlanti had been working on since 2019, when he was the reigning king of DC's TV efforts with the wildly successful Arrowverse that had consisted of more than a dozen shows. Yes, we've talked about it before. This Lantern show actually has its roots in a Greg Berlanti version that was in development back in the day of the DCEU. And yeah, I mean, it's a 4-year-old slate that we're talking about here, the 2023 announcement, but it's still worth noting, like, how much change it has gone through and how much we're getting and how much we are not getting. And, obviously other details in between. So ultimately, Berlanti, they say in the article, collaborator Mark Guggenheim and Seth Grahame-Smith, who was behind the Lego Batman movie, great movie, would complete 8 scripts, an entire first season of the show. We are getting an 8-episode series this year, but not the same one. Now, before HBO Max executives, balked at the pricey space set story, get this, the Mark Guggenheim, Greg Berlanti, Seth Grahame-Smith version of this, which was also going to be 8 episodes, was apparently a pricey space set story that HBO Max executives said, nah. We kept getting these notes saying they want true detective with power rings. Guggenheim tells me, ultimately, that wasn't the show that we were interested in giving them. So HBO always wanted, all the way back in 2019, a true detective with power rings. There's the origin of the true detective power rings idea, coming from HBO. And then, yeah, so HBO obviously hasn't commented on this. I know Greg Berlanti's had a
Oh,
mixed
okay.
record.
Sorry, I just came back in, but I noticed that they always
Yeah.
wanted a True Detective show. That's fucking
HBO,
interesting.
all the way back in 2019, HBO, before James Gunn and Peter Safran walked in to talk about this, HBO wanted a True Detective with power rings because Mark Guggenheim, John, his version of the show was also 8 episodes, but it was meant to be this space set story that was going to be a lot more pricey. Now, the thing is, later in the article, they talk about how the price wasn't ultimately the problem. It's just HBO didn't see that as, something that belonged on HBO.
Actually, sorry to cut you off. You want to know something really fucking funny? Way back when, in I think the late 90s, Jeff Johns, yes, that Jeff Johns, wanted to make a Green Lantern movie. And this was before like the failed Robert Smigel script with Jack Black, and like that was going to be a parody and all that. This was long before all of that. And he saw like, even, after the, kind of iffiness of Batman and Robin, they're like, okay, let's pitch something another. Okay, clearly Batman's not working, let's pitch another character. So he pitched a typical Green Lantern story. I think it was a Hal Jordan story, and it still makes me laugh. So Jeff Johns does this pitch, and one of the executives was like, that's a great pitch, and he's like, is there any way we can do it without the ring? And Jeff Johns was so like beside himself that he fucking straight up left the meeting and decided not to attempt another pitch until The Dark Knight came out and proved to like, oh, there's some faith in the DC formula now, because he was that like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like he just fucking left. He's like, I can't. I know they tried to, do again the infamous Robert Smigel script. Jack Black, Judd Plato.
Right.
I've read bits of that script. It's fucking ridiculous. Very, very like mid 2000s comedy, but with Green Lantern, and it was if it didn't have Green Lantern touch.
Fuck them rings.
But yeah, it was just Jeff Johns, like late 90s. He tried to like pitch something, and they're like, oh, can we
Goes
do
to
it
show you
without the ring?
Hollywood
It's
had a
like,
lot to learn.
the thing that like that makes a Green Lantern a Green Lantern. Let's not have that. And he's like, I'm out of here. Fuck this.
Without it, it would just be green.
Yeah,
like,
and there was another Green Lantern project that never happened before the 2011 movie. Do you know the actor Corey Hawkins?
Yes.
Or no, not Corey Hawkins. Sorry, Corey Reynolds. Corey Reynolds. Corey Reynolds. He was in Resident Alien. He was in your favorite Spielberg movie, The Terminal. He was one of the officers, agents in that movie.
Maybe.
But
okay.
he's the black sheriff in Resident Alien. I love that character. He's fucking so ridiculous. But he pitched a trilogy of movies featuring himself, I believe starring and I think he wanted to write the script too, of a trilogy of movies that centered around the John Stewart Green Lantern called Green Lantern Birth of a Hero, that would have throughout the trilogy would have introduced like other characters, would have eventually introduced the Justice League, but it was essentially an arc for John Stewart as the Green Lantern. And it was actually a really interesting idea. So yeah, it was fucking insane. And it's just like, it's interesting how all this, because like pretty much like almost every like canceled Green Lantern movie that like never came to be was like, damn, this would have been much better than the 2011 movie. But anyway, sorry, there's no way I could like ever talk about that, but I think these were interesting ideas. It just goes to show and they were apparently on board with it, but then they're like, no, we're gonna go with the Hal Jordan one instead. And so, but it's interesting how like WB and to an extent now HBO are have always been very weird about Green Lantern. So this is like, to me, it's just, that's what I'm trying to get to is like, they've always been weird about this character. I feel like they've never quite understood this character. And I feel like, especially with the failure of the 2011 movie, are now like really doubling down on the fact that like they don't want to do the interesting things with the character because maybe it's a risk to them. Maybe, there is like the budget and all that. So I don't know. It just feels like strange. I feel like WB has never truly nice head stash. But it feels like HBO and WB just never really understood what makes Green Lantern like an interesting character. So I don't know. That maybe that's just me, but they've always been weird about it.
Okay. All right. But speaking of the 2011 movie, which was, by Greg Berlanti and co, let's get back to the article because, yeah, how hard it is to understand space cops. I get, right? But anyway, but like for Greg Berlanti, like doing the Green Lantern TV show was going to be a bit of like a redemption story because they were thinking, look, shit went sideways and they weren't really happy with what we ultimately ended up getting from that Ryan Reynolds movie. So when Greg Berlanti first signed on to develop Green Lantern, as they say in this article, and the DC anthology Strange Adventures, by, if you guys remember that one as well, there was a show called Strange Adventures, which I believe was going to be an anthology show, like they say here, like an episodic anthology. I think it was not a seasonal anthology. I think that I have a theory that ultimately became what we're getting with the Jimmy Olsen shows in some weird twisted way, but I might be wrong about that. But anyway, back then Greg Berlanti was signed on to develop the Green Lantern show. He also was working on DC anthology Strange Adventures. He and Guggenheim viewed the opportunity as a redemption story after the duo's 2011 feature film starring Ryan Reynolds was critically panned and grossed $237 million worldwide on a budget of $200 million. They said, Guggenheim said, we let the movie get taken away from us, and we weren't going to let this get taken away from us. So, and I John, I don't know, I think we've talked about this before. Happened. It did end up ironically, but like we do remember talking about this before, that like there was a lot that happened behind the scenes with that Ryan Reynolds movie, where like Guggenheim and Berlanti didn't end up really having as much of an impact on the final film that we got.
Although I did hear reports, I remember Ryan Reynolds talking about this, where apparently in the written script that Mark Guggenheim wrote, apparently he got the oath wrong. It's just like, Ryan was like, yeah, we were doing it, and I noticed that the oath was wrong, so I rewrote it to make it actually like it. I'm like, Mark, buddy, how do you fucking fuck that up so badly? So I don't know if it was like, oh, we got this taken away from us. I don't think they really wrote that good of a script initially. So
but John, if it's just that, I'm not gonna hang somebody with just that mistake. I don't know how wrong it was, but like anyway, like that's a small detail. At the time, in this article, they're saying Berlanti and Guggenheim had successfully built the CW's DC TV universe, of course, the Arrowverse as we know it, and they had produced hundreds of hours of stories. I mean, of course, I believe for DC and Warner Brothers Television at one point, Berlanti had 20 shows in development, which is an all-time record for like one producer to have 20 shows in the works at one point.
I know they tried to get a Wonder Woman show off the ground, but when the movie came out, they decided to nix it.
Which totally makes sense. But like Berlanti, by the way, still is at Warner Brothers Television. He's still got an overall deal with them, so he's still doing stuff. Now together, Berlanti and Guggenheim navigated the strict guidelines of what they could and couldn't tackle as multiple executives at DC's entertainment division prioritized films over the low-budget CW shows. One note we kept getting over and over again, John, is could we go to Oa, the fictional planet where the Green Lantern Corps are headquartered, only at the end of the first season, is what Guggenheim recalled, saying it wasn't a note that was born or driven by budget. No one ever said, listen, we can't afford to make the version of the show you're talking about, which was, again, more of a space set show that would naturally be more expensive, more VFX heavy. But Guggenheim said, I never got that note. It wasn't about the money. It was always, do we have to go to Oa? Do we have to see aliens? Can't it be a more grounded procedural? And again, John, I'm like, I blame HBO now. Because I feel like this is detail that we did not know about before. Because in hindsight, as this article will continue to like enlighten us, I will blame James Gunn, because I think James Gunn also is responsible, because we are getting this because James Gunn greenlit it with Peter Safran and stuff. But if we are talking about in a couple of months' time that this show was just too grounded and did not do enough space cop stuff, and it's literally a show about space cops, 2019, Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim were being told, do we have to see aliens? Do we have to go to Oa? Can it be a more grounded procedural? You know, and like Craig Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim were like, no, like they were the white knights in this, like because Berlanti and Guggenheim would take 3 different stabs at crafting Green Lantern, which was originally pitched to Kevin Riley, the original head of HBO Max, and then his top lieutenant Sarah Aubrey before HBO chief Blois, because HBO Max and HBO corporate were 2 different things until Discovery when they got combined, and now Casey Blois basically is in charge of everything HBO. So HBO chief Casey Blois, who's the current man in charge as well, was given oversight of the streaming service, and then Gunn and Safran entered the picture at this time. Now Guggenheim goes, well, not Guggenheim, but another source familiar with the development process for that Lantern show goes on to say James Gunn had his own vision. It was clear he also wanted an Earth-based story, and by this time HBO Max had passed on Berlanti's Strange Adventures anthology show. And so the creator was reluctant to proceed with a Green Lantern that was so different from his vision. And they were discussing using other characters. And at that point, it was clear that Berlanti's take wasn't the way they wanted to go, said this anonymous source. So, John, the evidence is mounting here that Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim put up the good fight. And ultimately, they just were told, like, this is not what HBO wanted, and so they just decided we're going to walk away. Because now this paragraph here, I think is, I'm going to stop here and then we could kind of talk about this and then we'll keep going. While Guggenheim has voiced his frustrations about never so much as getting a phone call,
your universe sucked, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. So while Guggenheim has voiced his frustrations about never so much as getting a phone call from Gunn about his new vision for Green Lantern, sources say that Berlanti met with the DC chief, who made it clear he wanted a more Earth-set procedural. Berlanti, who holds the record I mentioned before for the most TV series in the works at one time, 20 back in 2020, then approached Warner Brothers Discovery's new CEO, David Zaslav, who blessed his decision to walk away from working with DC entirely, sources say. So it was the Green Lantern show that ultimately was, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back. And he was like, you're not going to do my Strange Adventures. You want a Lantern that's more grounded on Earth. Don't want aliens. Don't want to go to Oa. You want a more true detective procedural instead of space cops, which is what I want to give you, which more Mark Guggenheim wants to give you. And clearly now the new regime of James Gunn also want that same grounded procedural. Well, I think I'm just going to like take my, book and my notepad and my pen and my laptop and my typewriter, and I'm going to like go over there and work on other things that are not DC. Still going to be at Warner Brothers Television, but I'm just not going to do DC. And
well, he hasn't made a show in a couple of years, so like who knows?
No, he actually has stuff running, but I don't think none of it is DC related. I think some of his shows aren't on HBO Max. They're licensed through Warner Brothers Television, produced by Warner Brothers Television for Netflix and such. But
I know he worked as a producer, like he did that red, white, and royal blue movie. He produced that. I know he directed Love, Simon, and
I mean, there's a couple of good things. I Love, Simon was good. I'm just but getting back, just sticking with the DC thing for now. Like
he is and by the way, I totally forgot he is an executive producer on that upcoming Scooby-Doo show. So there is that too.
But like, you might not agree with Mark Guggenheim and Greg Berlanti's approach to the CW, but like they were limited by budget and what they were doing there. But I think in this case, I kind of like the idea that they were pursuing this like Green Lantern show that was actually about the Green Lanterns the way we know them from the comics, rather than a grounded procedural. So I'm like, it's not like here. I don't think that. I mean, look, I give Zaslav credit that he said, look, yeah, you can go and do something different. This doesn't work for you. But I think in hindsight, I'm like, again, the show hasn't come out yet, but this report coming out today is also not by accident. Whether to the detriment or to the benefit of the new show, which does feel like a true detective grounded procedural. So we know which side won out at the end of the day. Do you feel like in an alternate timeline, the Greg Berlanti version that was the most space-based sci-fi version of the show would have been the better take, as opposed to the grounded iteration that Gunn and Casey Blois have wanted?
I don't know, because I am so scorned about what happened at the CW and with all these characters. Like pretty much every show like none of them were good past season 3, maybe season 4, with the exception of Superman and Lois, which was good all the way through. And I think Greg Berlanti was pretty hands off by the end, because I think he was like pretty much on the way out. It was going to get bought by Next Star. It was all that. So I think he was like, I don't give a fuck, do whatever you want, which proved to be better, because Superman and Lois is the best CW DC show there is. Because he stopped giving a fuck, because they,
we'll get to that. That's in this report as well. That's in this report. Like what happened?
There was that. So because it's just like Arrow, first 2 seasons great, and then season 3 shit the bed, and it never got good again. Although I have heard season 5 was good, and season 6 was okay, but it like seasons 3 and 4 were like really bad. 5 and 6 were okay, and then 7 kind of shit the bed again.
Yeah,
and then
but again,
Flash, it got bad after season 2.
Right.
Legends
but
of
John,
Tomorrow
we're
got
not.
bad
We're
after
not.
season
We're
3.
not. Hold on, but we're not talking about the Arrowverse. It's.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, this is so much better. Blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, it might have marginally been better. Like, I would have preferred the more comic accurate ideas. Yeah, Stargirl was fucking amazing. Stargirl and Superman and Lois. But since Stargirl wasn't really connected to the Arrowverse, I don't count it.
It was kind of its own thing. Yeah.
Weird but I will say, it's, it's just like I'm tough, because I fucking hate Tom King. I'm not a big David Lindelof fan. Chris Monday, I haven't seen anything from him. I just know from the stuff he's done, like Ozark and Bloodlines, that he is a good TV guy. Just from what my parents have said and what other people have said, he's a good TV guy. I don't like Damon Lindelof very much. I really don't like Tom King. So I have no faith in this show right now. Yeah, I could be surprised, but right now I don't know anything.
I mean, Chris Monday is gonna stick around for season 2 as well. I didn't fucking
have any faith with Greg Berlanti fucking either. Like, yeah, sure, it would have been nice to see more comic accurate stuff, but like at the same time, the fucking writing probably was still gonna be garbage. Like, they had a good, I do like Finn Wittrock. I think he could have been a good Guy Gardner. But it's just like I have I don't think it would have been that much better of a fucking show. Maybe season 1 would have been good, because apparently they make great season 1s and then just shit the bed for the rest of the fucking show. So I don't know. It's I can't sit here and say, oh yeah, this would have been fucking way better, because 1, we never got it, and 2, this hasn't come out yet. So maybe Lanterns is a fucking amazing success, and it proves that James Gunn and HBO were right, and it should have been more grounded, and it would have been a better show. Maybe that could be the case. Like, who fucking knows? Maybe they were right to fucking sack Berlanti and get the fuck out of here. You ruined the 2011 movie. Get the fuck out of my face. So I can't really. I'm going. You know what? Bring me this question back when season 1 of Lanterns ends, and then we'll talk. I think that's the best way I can say. I cannot give a definitive answer right now in terms of what would have been better until we see the end of this vision so far, as we know, of season 1. If it does continue as a series, then we will see. But for right now, I can't say with 100% confidence that Greg Berlanti would be better or Chris Monday's would have been better. I just can't.
Yeah, fair. So, and then M2G was asking a question. They can still do just Max streaming shows, right? Even if HBO won't put the logo on it or put it on the cable channel like Peacemaker. Yes and no. So since Peacemaker, the season 1 got greenlit, even season 2, they've gone through more and more changes internally at HBO, where basically now over time, the line between HBO Max and HBO got blurry and blurrier, and then it's basically disappeared. So Casey Bloys runs HBO. HBO Max is the streaming service that is HBO on streaming. HBO Max and HBO are the same thing. It's run by the same people. It's run, and everything is overlooked, and the oversight ultimately comes from Casey Bloys, the man who wanted the True Detective style procedural version of Lanterns. So Peacemaker, they renewed it, and yeah, it wasn't like on traditional, even though they did end up having it on HBO, I think, at one point, and then especially with season 1, I think ended up like on TNT and stuff by the time season 2 was airing. So They're doing that. So I don't think there's going to be very many. And later in this article, we do talk about HBO and what their expectations are with DC shows. Trust me. I think, John, you're going to begin to like get a little more irritated as this article goes on, because I, for one, as somebody who's looking forward to Lanterns, was like, uh-oh. So yeah, I don't think there are any more true Max originals. It's all HBO. It's HBO is HBO is HBO. HBO Max is the streaming service that is HBO. So it wasn't, so like forget the Max original thing. Like that's any legacy holdovers, yes. New stuff, no. Jedi like Reflex saying Damon Lindelof, I'm thinking you meant to say, alone gives me faith in Lanterns after seeing what he's done with The Watchmen on HBO Max. Yeah, I mean, I like The Watchmen series on HBO Max, so I agree with you on that. I know John isn't the fan of it.
Yeah, I tried to watch it,
but
and
yeah,
I just couldn't. But maybe it
so
gets
let's
better.
keep going.
I don't know.
So now comes the part of the article where, you know, James Gunn, Peter Safran walk in the door. We have DC Studio established, big TV plans, and then, of course, early fizzles. Now, some of this information is not new because we've already talked about it on the show before, but let me go through this. So in the article, they say Gunn and Safran have since pressed full steam ahead on their plans for DC's future. The duo's first moves were to cancel all of DC's remaining TV efforts, including HBO Max's Pennyworth, Berlanti's Titans, Doom Patrol, God, I should have stuck with that, Gotham Knights, glad that did not go through, and Superman and Lois, the latter of which was the last pre-Gunn and Safran DC show to air on the CW under Nexstar. So this article, in a sense, does confirm that, you know, Gunn and Safran said out with the old and the new, and that included, you know, cutting
that makes
Superman
sense.
And Lois short as well.
And to be fair, it was also partly because Nexstar was going to own, and Nexstar didn't want to do like fiction.
They didn't want to pay for like.
So.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay for expensive scripted programming. They do a lot of unscripted. They even cancel some unscripted shows. Anyway, the two creator executives, so they're talking about Gunn and Safran, who had already been in the DC business with 2021 suit The Suicide Squad and his HBO Max John Cena-led Peacemaker show, then announced plans for an animated series, Creature Commandos, which did recently get renewed for season 2 at Max. So it is going to be streaming on HBO Max next year, I believe. Now, remember, James Gunn has mentioned, this is not in the article, but James Gunn has mentioned before that he was working on a Creature Commando show, and he kind of pitched it to David Zaslav alongside his Superman pitch. So that was something he was working on regardless of whether DC Studios was going to be a thing and the DCU was going to be a thing. But that was one of the early ones, shows that they went ahead with. So now a true detective-style Lanterns, a Peacemaker spinoff called Waller, and a Wonder Woman prequel, Paradise Lost, and Booster Gold. Those were the 5 shows that we got in the 2023 slate announcement. Now, of course, the article mentions a lot has changed since early 2023. Now, here's the exclusive part. Now, John, as I read through this, if you want to pop on the, we'll get to there have been some conflicting reports on this stuff, but let me read through this paragraph first. So in this article, I forget the name of the author, but she's reporting, now I can exclusively reveal, Leslie is reporting, and now I can exclusively reveal that both Waller, which was to have Viola Davis star, and Paradise Lost are both dead. Sources say DC and HBO also heard pitches for series built around Poison Ivy, which we heard about recently, and Catwoman, but passed on both. Booster Gold, meanwhile, remains in development, and a search is underway for a new writer after David Jenkins revealed his script also wasn't moving forward. Berlanti, as it happens, tried multiple times to adapt Booster Gold, first for Sci-Fi Network in 2011, and then a feature in 2016, neither of which went beyond development. Now, sources say Gunn and Safran don't try to force any development into HBO and would rather have Casey Bloys also get behind the TV projects that DC plans to take on. The three together determine the next steps for Booster Gold. They want people to be psyched about what they're doing, a source tells me. Others, meanwhile, stress that Bloys never had plans to over-index DC fare and remains happy with DC's TV output. Meanwhile, a second season of HBO's critically acclaimed The Batman spinoff, The Penguin, featuring Colin Farrell reprising his role, remains in limbo, and Warner Brothers Pictures and DC have bumped Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2 from fall 2027 to February 2028. Gunn has said there are no plans for a third season of Peacemaker as he remains focused on other DC projects, though he has left the door open. So, John, a lot to kind of gather there. Now, I'm going to switch over from this article briefly. So there are conflicting reports from Entertainment Weekly and Variety, if you can click on these, Sean, because according to Entertainment Weekly, Viola Davis starring Waller, and the Paradise Lost show, which the last we heard from James Gunn was in extreme development, they still remain in various stages of development. That's Entertainment Weekly. Then Variety, giving us a slightly different tinge on it, saying that both Waller and Paradise Lost are no longer in active development at DC Studios. And we just read the article, John, if you go to the next thing, that according to the scoop from Leslie Goldberg in The Ankler, both of those shows, Waller and Paradise Lost, they're both dead, or at the very least, they are no longer a priority at HBO. Also, John, I'm going to go back to the article briefly and highlight here that according to sources that Leslie has, I'm guessing at HBO, Casey Bloys, the dude, never had plans to over-index DC fare and remains happy with DC's output, which, I mean, if the current output is one show every other year or every 2 years or maybe a show and a half, and on top of that, the fact that they wanted a grounded Lanterns, you know, that was a more true detective style procedural, and calling it, you know, calling it a day on Waller, on Paradise Lost, which I guess maybe it remains in development at DC Studios, but it's not currently being considered at HBO. Maybe that's the dividing line there, that maybe HBO killed it, so they don't have something they're considering, but maybe DC Studios is reworking it. And then Booster Gold, Casey Bloys, Peter Safran, and James Gunn all just together decided, after going through the Danny, what am I forgetting his name? Danny, those guys, Danny McBride writing team came on board and then left, and then, you know, you had David Jenkins come and go. They now are on the 3rd iteration of that show. And this is news here that the Penguin show obviously stays in limbo, but the Catwoman and the supposed Poison Ivy project, which Deadline reported like not that long ago was, you know, going ahead, apparently those also got passed on by HBO. So it looks like for the most part they're either dead, or certainly from HBO's perspective they passed on. So honestly, John, your thoughts on all of this, because there's a lot here to absorb, you know? Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, I say just fucking go to somewhere else. Because, like, look at Amazon. They've been, you know, they have The Boys, they have Spider Noir, and they have Batman Cape Crusader. We don't know if a couple of those are continuing, but like Amazon, they have the money. Like they got that Bezos money. They can fucking shit out a ton of shows and
If
be
HBO
okay
doesn't want it,
money
you know?
wise.
Yeah.
Because that's not the main thing they do. And honestly, because it's like, as long as they have like the licensing and are okay with that, I would say just stop shopping to HBO at this point, because it's clear that HBO doesn't want a part in any of this.
HBO's like, oh, we don't want to play in DC nerd boy fandom, you know, pool of dirt. Like we are HBO, like, you know, like fuck you guys. Like you guys are like dirty horse. Like, you know, we are HBO. Like fuck you. Like, you know, that's what this comes across as.
Yeah, like
HBO,
a Mean Girls fucking, you know, Rachel McAdams kind of vibe.
Yeah, like it's because clearly I think the big takeaway here is this. Like, again, this article makes it pretty clear that HBO, and then again, the whole like black and white rebrand, like no more kids family programming. We are HBO. Like, you know, like it's so HBO clearly doesn't want DC. They're more than happy with the very few things that, you know, the little, you know, sprinkle.
Yeah, they're
you know,
okay with like greenlighting 10 million fucking Game of Thrones spin-offs.
But
like, you know.
Yeah. And I get they don't want to be like Disney Plus and they don't want to be like Marvel, but like, I mean, there's a balance here, right? There's a balance. Here's the thing. If David Zaslav says DC is the crown jewel IP you have, then HBO is the place you put it, right?
I know.
Like, I don't understand.
I get it.
Like, but here's the thing. I agree with you. I feel, because like, no Poison Ivy, no Catwoman. So like, until today, we thought the Poison Ivy show was a go. Apparently Waller is dead. You know, the show that went missing 5 years ago. I think that show was missing in action as soon as James Gunn announced it, to be fair. We have never seen any real movement on it. And Viola Davis is clearly very, you know, already a busy actor as is, so I don't think she's missing any opportunities.
Well, we'll see if this deal goes through. So,
Yeah, and look, like David Ellison wants to ultimately combine Paramount Plus and HBO, so I don't know what that means for the priorities of the combined company. And then Casey Bloys. Now, Casey Bloys' contract is also up for renewal next year, much like James Gunn and Peter Safran. So maybe there's hope at the end of the tunnel that like if Casey Bloys leaves HBO, which would be a loss because like he's led HBO to a great run of shows, you know, DC or otherwise, with Last of Us, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, everything else that they're doing. So HBO is doing great stuff. It's just it doesn't vibe with DC apparently. They just think they're, you know, DC is too low level, you know, low hanging fruit. We're too highfalutin to have DC stuff. I mean, like you said, John, maybe they should license out to other streaming services. Maybe they'll get more money that way anyway because now you're getting you don't have to worry about creative accounting with like how does this count towards our bottom line. You just literally say, hey, Amazon, we're developing a Penguin season. Well, the Penguin season 2 probably will still be on HBO if they do that, but for Catwoman,
I don't
for
think
Poison
they're gonna
Ivy,
do. I mean, to be fair, they designed that as
Amazon
a
will pay top
miniseries to
dollar.
lead into.
Yeah, they did, and I'm fine
Batman
with that
Part 2
too.
kind
I'm
of
like,
sorta. So like,
I'm not as worried about that, John. I think I'm more worried about like again, if you go back to the go to the last link here that we have before the comic movie one, which gives us like a nice summary. So this here, I think, gives us a high level overview. Right? There's 5 shows listed here. Now, of those 5 shows, 3 of them, now 2 of them, Poison Ivy and Catwoman, I assume they were both going to be attached to the Reeves verse, the Batman epic crime saga. So those are separate. Those came about as a result of the Batman being successful.
Yeah.
And the 3 others, Waller, Paradise Lost, Gold, and Booster Gold, were 3 of the 5 shows they announced as part of the 2023 slate. And from that 2023 slate, we've gotten Creature Commandos, but that was the most low-hanging fruit they could have possibly come out of that because it was a cheaply animated show that they put out, and they even put it on YouTube because they didn't get enough views on HBO. Clearly, that's not as big of a priority, so they're going to keep doing it. They make it cheap. It seems like a pet project for James Gunn, so he's going to keep, as long as James Gunn is around, Creature Commandos is around, like, if you're being honest. And then Lanterns. We've talked about the ups and downs and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And Peacemaker was just, you know, a continuation of something James Gunn did previously. So, like, again, you know, he was able to move that forward. But there's no plans for a season 3. But, like, the point I'm trying to make here is 3 out of the 5 shows from the original slate haven't happened yet. 2 out of the 5 movies haven't happened yet. 2, is it 2? Is it more than 2? Because The Authority didn't happen.
The Authority didn't happen. Brave and the Bold is still in limbo, and we don't know what's going on with Swamp Thing. So I mean, 3 out of the 5 TV shows, 3 out of the 5 movies they announced in 2023 are either dead in the water, or missing in action, or TBA, like to be announced whenever the fuck they decide to actually move forward reasonably into giving us a release date or whatever. That's a pretty bad hit rate. That's basically they missed on 6 out of those 10. That's a 40% hit rate, which in baseball would still be all-star caliber. But this isn't baseball, this is Hollywood. And if you announce 10 projects, can you imagine if Kevin Feige came out and said, for the next phase of the MCU, you know, the mutant saga, we've got these 5 movies, and then we've got these 5 TV shows, and then 4 years later, we found out that 3 of those movies were dead. Like if the vast majority was like Blade, essentially, if like everything
exactly
was like Blade.
Like if 6 out of the 10 projects ended up like Blade, I think people would be writing right now, canceling Disney Plus subscriptions and everything. So I'm again not trying. I feel like some of this is hyperbole because it doesn't really change. You know, the sun still kind of come out on the East Coast.
I think it's just like at this point it's like pretty much on the wall of like that announcement was a huge fucking mistake because it was a temporary solution to please shareholders and the stocks, and like it killed the DC momentum for 4 movies that year. Like I'm like, in hindsight, you caused yourself more damage because like what benefit did it have to other than a temporary boost in your stock price? Maybe David Ellison was, you know, already planning on flipping Warner Brothers back then. You know, the cynical part of me wants Zaslav, whatever, fuck it, like all these Davids. You know, where's the Goliath to come and crush the David that we want anyway? MCU drops movies all the time that they just canceled. Wonder Man, Blade, yeah, they do, but like it's not like this. It's not like this is like 6 out of 10 out the gate. You know, Blade is a big one, and Wonder Man, you know, we'll talk about later in this article too. Trust me, this article goes through a lot, and yeah, the quality of the DCU. We're gonna be here until 6 in the morning, guys. Come on now.
But But yeah, no, absolutely, of course we are. So DC TV's future. Now, this part of the article I'll read again, and this is also again more enlightening stuff. Now, looking ahead, they say in the article, HBO Max recently added Mary Holland and Jimmy Tatro to its untitled Superman spin-off series revolving around Skylar Gizondo's Jimmy Olsen as a formal order is rumored to be imminent. So it's not officially greenlit yet, but apparently it's pretty close. Now, that's in the hands of co-showrunners Dan Perrault and Tony Yacenda, the pair behind Netflix's Peabody-winning mockumentary series American Vandal. Sources also say a writer's room for season 2 of Lanterns has been hard at work for more than a month, even though HBO hasn't handed out an official renewal. Lindelof will not return for season 2, per sources. He initially signed on for a single season and is now focused on the HBO limited series thriller The Chain. King, who is working on DC's animated Mr. Miracle series, is also not part of the writer's room for season 2, but remains involved. To fill the void, Halt and Catch Fire creator Chris Cantwell was hired in May to serve as a co-showrunner alongside Chris Mundy. Everybody hoped there would be a season 2 of Lanterns, but the first season was plotted in a way where it has a beginning, middle, and end, and the mystery is resolved, a source told Lindsay Goldberg. They platformed some storylines to meld with James and Peter's vision for the DC universe, particularly Superman sequel Man of Tomorrow, which is shooting now. Remember, I think we recently talked about how, I think it was Damon Lindelof saying that where they leave, they didn't have a designated endpoint for Jon Stewart's story, but they do apparently set it up so that, you can naturally transition him into Man of Tomorrow. So yeah, now let's keep going here. Reviews for the series remain embargoed until Friday, as sources indicate HBO, in keeping with tradition, wanted to see how Lanterns is received by both critics and fanboys, before making a formal decision on its future. DC is far from the only Hollywood player experiencing superhero growing pains. Disney recently pulled the plug on Marvel's Wonder Man 4 months after renewing the comedy starring Ben Kingsley and the Emmy-nominated Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. The series was also co-created by Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed Sony and Marvel Studios' Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is rapidly approaching $2 billion mark at the worldwide box office. Multiple sources say Disney ultimately didn't feel like the viewership of Wonder Man justified the cost associated with doing the show and pulled the plug before a season 2 writer's room even opened. The bigger question here, a source familiar with Marvel and DC's struggle says, is how much should these giant superhero movie franchises be even concerned with TV? John, your reaction to that, a lot to...
Yeah. I
a
think,
lot to
like,
digest
here's the
here.
thing. TV, I think you could tell really good fucking stories.
Mhm.
I think you could do a lot of good with that. And I think DC Universe could have been a great, like, starting ground for that, but they, just didn't
Yeah.
want to put faith in that. So that just eventually kind of moved into HBO Max and kind of was its own thing. Now it's DC Infinite with like only comic book stuff, which is fine.
Mhm.
But it's just like I think this is the case of like, yeah, I think outside of Lanterns and maybe another show if they want it, I would say
Mhm.
either if you have the ability to just shop it to other networks, shop
Yeah.
it to other people, because clearly
Like
HBO
Amazon,
doesn't want
Netflix.
any of this.
Yeah.
They clearly are like, you know what, we're too good for you. We're fucking HBO. Blah,
Apple
blah, we
TV.
had Sopranos.
Yeah.
So, I think I think they should just like, if they really want TV stuff, shop it to other networks. Like,
Yeah.
Amazon has been a home for Amazon has been the home for both a Marvel show, Spider Noir. We don't know if a season 2 is going to happen, and
Mhm.
Cape Crusader. We don't know if a season 3 is going to happen. Yes, that's very different because it's animated and it's like made for pennies. But with all of that, I think, like, if you really want the TV, shop it to other people or just stick to movies at this point, because it's very clear that like the movies can actually kind of get going, because we have Clayface, we have Man of Tomorrow. I think they just it really sucks because like the whole like idea of an expansive universe, you can benefit from TV because TV is more um is more like a comic book because it's like episodes, it's like issues, and that works.
I agree.
Like it's more forgiving of the comic book formula, and that works.
I mean, and for HBO,
And it's clear that Casey Bloys
comic
and the
book fans aren't
fuckers
the
at
target
HBO
audience.
don't want like superhero media
Comic book
outside
fans.
of stuff
Yeah.
that barely resembles superhero media, like with Lanterns,
Yep.
like with Watchmen. So I say at that point, just say, go fuck yourself. We're gonna shop it to other people. And then it would be really funny if like the numbers are great, it makes a ton of money from whatever reason, and then it's like, haha, get fucked, Casey Bloys. You didn't want the money because you were fucking too good for DC. So go fuck yourself. We're going to the other people and we're gonna have a future. So I think that's the if Gunn and Safran are like hell bent on their vision, I would say go to other networks or just straight up stick to movies, because that's the only direction you can go, because clearly HBO doesn't want to play ball with the DC boys. So
Yeah. And you know what, to the point that you guys are making, like, yeah, the streaming bubble has burst and stuff. Dude, the streaming bubble, MTG, burst like 3 years ago. We've been living in that post-bubble environment for a while. That's not new. So that's why Disney has reduced the amount of shows where they were spending 25-30 million per episode. Even HBO, like, I think outside of maybe House of the Dragon and The Last of Us, none of their other shows really do 25-20 million
well,
per
yeah,
episode
because
budgets.
DC
So-
is, because it's just a licensing thing. Like they just have to come
Yeah,
with
you
a
could just
deal.
license it.
Like,
Like
DC
Batman
and Warner
Kid
Brothers could
Crusader.
just license off the character
Yeah.
to allow Amazon.
No,
to
John, not even
use it, I think.
licensing it off. No, it's not even a matter of like licensing it off. Like what they're doing is, like, DC Studios still makes it. Like DC Studios,
Yeah,
Warner Brothers
which is under
Animation
WB.
makes the project, and then you sell it for distribution to another platform, like Batman Kid, the Cape Crusader. That animated show is made by DC Studios and Warner Brothers Animation Group, and then that's licensed off, as in it's sold for distribution to Amazon. Still owned by Warner Brothers. They could eventually have it revert back so they can put it on their streaming service. But I think we're getting, because here's the thing, when the streaming bubble did burst a few years ago, that's when all of a sudden HBO started saying, oh, you know what, Netflix, Game of Thrones finished, a few years ago. Why don't you guys have like all the seasons to watch on Netflix? Because if we can just collect millions of dollars and simply to just let you guys stream it on your streaming service, like, we'd rather have the millions of dollars as opposed to exclusivity on HBO for a show that's already finished its original run on the network. So that's already been happening for a number of years. Like, there's a reason why you can see Westworld on Tubi or Pluto, because HBO changed their strategy. So they've already done that. Like, they've already done a lot of pullback on budgets and stuff. I think that the Disney thing with Wonder Man makes sense because it really wasn't that popular a TV show. I was honestly surprised that we were gonna get a season 2, but I was looking forward to it. So they raised our hopes, and then only 4 months later changed their mind. Fine. But like The Boys, for example, is made by Sony, but it airs on Amazon. Amazon licenses it. For example, Ted Lasso is made by Warner Brothers Television and Apple. It runs on Apple. So, I mean, and the rights behind some of those things are a little more complicated because, like, the Ted Lasso character technically is owned by NBC Sports, but then so that's a different thing. But like, outside of a few shows like Stranger Things and like some of the other originals that Netflix has, a lot of their TV shows are licensed. Like I mentioned, Greg Berlanti has a couple of shows he's making through Warner Brothers Television that currently run on Netflix. They were licensed to Netflix. So I think, like you said, John, the clue here is ultimately, for whatever reason, HBO's target audience, they're narrowing it down and niching it down back to, I guess, what HBO was in the 90s, and saying, we don't do comic book stuff. Or when we do it, we try to distance it from comic booky stuff as much as possible, hence the marketing campaign for Lanterns. So yeah, I mean, it's I think it may not be for the betterment of the streaming service, because think of it this way, John. Ultimately, the streaming service should want more subscribers, right? More subscribers, more people who don't churn away. Comic book cinematic universes are a great way to keep people attached to your streaming service, because they know that the next show in continuity is also going to be on the streaming service. They know that there's more coming. They know that there's a benefit to like having all of it available to them, so they can go back and watch it. It's something different than when you just have a Last of Us show that you can just say, all right, I'm going to tune into HBO for a few months. The show finishes, I'm canceling my subscription. And then also, just again, it's premium property, like all the Marvel projects. Everything MCU is on Disney Plus. Disney Plus is the library to find out all things MCU. So if you start licensing off, piecemealing DC projects that are in continuity with the DCU, now I'm not saying people can't follow the trail. Like, we live in a world where the WWE has the rights with like 5 other networks. So if you want to watch Monday Night Raw, you watch it on ESPN. Netflix. If you want to watch their pay-per-views, you watch it on ESPN. You want to watch SmackDown, you watch it on USA Network and Peacock. You want to watch NXT, you watch it on the CW. People can figure that out. Like, they don't like it, but they can figure that out. Comic book fans will do the work. But I think it will take away from the goal of like trying to become, especially under David Ellison, I think this strategy will change because they're like, we're trying to become Netflix. And right now, HBO and Paramount's combined subscription base is like 130 million, if that, depending on how much overlap there is between the two. 150 maybe. And Netflix is over 300 something, like 330 something million. They're half. They're less than half. And they're not even the second and the third highest. I think Disney Plus has more subscribers, and Amazon Prime is a firm second behind Netflix with over 200 million subscribers. So I just don't think the business case is there. Like, what you want to be doing right now is making HBO the home for all things Harry Potter, which HBO already licenses out Harry Potter to like Peacock and other services. But certainly the first run stuff, like the new shows on HBO. Lord of the Rings, everything Lord of the Rings related should be on HBO. And then everything DC should be on HBO. Like this, I feel like with David Ellison, the one thing that might change for the better is, like, while I appreciate that HBO back in its heyday was great because HBO itself was a brand that can, I think given the corporate priorities of the upcoming merged entity and the need to make money to pay down debt, over $100 billion of debt, you want to have all of that crown, shit on the same streaming service. It gives more reason for people to get,
I understand
subscribe.
that,
but but I guess as long as Casey Blows is around, that's obviously not a priority. So like, I guess it sucks for DC
at that
fans
point, just
that HBO
focus on
is
movies then,
what it
because
is.
clearly the movies are working.
Yeah.
For lack of a better
Are
word,
they?
but
Are they working? I guess Supergirl was the biggest flop for DC in almost a decade.
Well, I mean, you know what I fucking mean. I mean, like, clearly you can get a fucking movie made. They can't get a TV show made outside of fucking Lanterns.
At least they can
which
get
is
it
what
made.
they wanted for the past 10 fucking years for that
They finally
stupid
got their
show.
wish.
So, like, they got it. They got the True Detective show. Cool, great, awesome. Outside of that, they got fucking nothing. At least, like, Clayface is fucking happening. Man of fucking Tomorrow's happening. Dynamic Duo's happening. Batman Part 2's happening. All this shit's happening. Guess what's not happening at HBO? More fucking DC shows. So, yeah, Supergirl flopped. But guess what's happening after that? You still have 4 fucking movies coming out after the fact and no TV shows. So, yeah, movies, whether you like it or not, are a fucking success. Okay? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess on the bright side, we still maybe get 1 to 2 DC movies a year, a Max show.
Woke people up, and they're probably gonna yell at me now, but whatever.
DC crime. So, I mean, hey, apparently the Mr. Terrific show is also in extreme development. One thing I want to finish up with, John, is that apparently the idea here is a lot of shows get developed at DC Studios, then they get pitched to HBO, and HBO has passed on a lot of what they have been pitched so far. That means they're going back to the drawing board, but it seems like because they're not licensing to other streaming services, maybe the priority here is to ultimately put everything on HBO. The question that we've been asking is whether, that is still something that's whether that's the right move. But yeah, I mean, Enterprising, exactly. Like, no kid stuff, but we will do Harry Potter. You could go a little darker with it, but how much darker are you gonna go? Like, it's still Harry Potter. So that's what I mean. I think HBO needs to, I don't know, pull their pants up and decide that you gotta run with DC more, because DC is one of the biggest money makers you've got at Warner Brothers. So anyway, but yeah, well, on that lovely note, John, why don't we end on a high note?
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
I don't know if it's
Your brother never told you never threaten a man's family?
Was that a high note? I thought
No,
that
not really.
qualified. No? Okay. Well, okay. Well, there we go. The future of DC TV. John, is the future of DC TV bright?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. It's a, you know, the
At
cue
this
the
point, I
spinning
say just
wheel.
stick to the movies because those are
Yeah.
metaphorically working. Yes, there are
Mhm.
bombs, but at least stuff is actually getting greenlit.
At least they're making them. Yeah.
At least they're making them. At least, you
making them.
know, as Lab is
Yeah.
like, okay, make the movies. Casey Bloys is being a fucking cocksucker, so you know, here we are. They're making
Yeah,
the
I think
movies.
that's the key there. Yeah. 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 I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe Casey Bloys will not be around. Maybe he'll get poached by like NBC Universal or whatever next year. So who's to say all this completely changes in a year's time?
I mean, who fucking knows? Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we got the one positive for David Ellison, and then this is just like long fucking list of negatives. Like, oh yeah, Paramount Plus could be home for DC stuff, but like, you know, let's just ignore the, you know, gigantic elephant in the room
I mean,
of David Ellison
yeah.
being a gigantic prick and probably gonna run one and maybe two movie studios into the fucking ground. So we'll see how that
I
goes.
mean, look, here's the thing. On the plus side, since they're turning Star Trek into a movie franchise again, they need something to fill the gap on Paramount Plus. Maybe it could be DC. So, yeah. And
They
and
tried
on
that.
note,
It didn't work.
it didn't
Remember?
work.
Remember?
Fuck that.
Remember Aquaman? Yeah, remember Aquaman? Alan
I was talking
Beecher?
about
I
more so
prefer-
Titans, but you know,
Titans. Yeah. Wasn't he in Titans?
Aqualad was in Titans.
What am I thinking of?
I think it's Smallville.
Wasn't Alan
Richardson
was it
was
Smallville?
Aquaman in Smallville.
Oh my fucking god. Okay. All right. Well, you know, on that lovely note, I think we should call it a night. Light your blue rings because we can all
Yeah,
use
that's
them
true.
right
Light
now.
the blue rings.
I mean, look, for all we know, Lanterns will be fantastic and they'll do multiple seasons and it'll go on for like 5 years or more and we'll be fine. You know, everything is fine, John. I wish I had the meme.
This is
Because we
fine.
clearly
Yeah,
forgot
the
to do
dog in the
regular.
fucking
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening.
Yeah, I was like, that's
the
closest
dog
we
in
got.
the
It's like,
fire.
the dog in the fire. Yeah. It's
House
fine.
on fire.
It's fine. Like
This
that's
is
like
fine.
James Gunn just sitting there. This is fine. This is fine. It's okay. All right, guys. We'll see you 3 days till Lanterns comes out. And yeah, three more days, 3 more effing days. All right. Well, stay blessed. You know, the light at the end of the tunnel will eventually show up. Eventually.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Fuck Tom King, David Ellison, and Jeff Snyder, especially David Ellison and Tom.
Amazing.